Hello there. Okay, we are back with some more Cultist Simulator. So I've been looking forward for the past week to getting back into this particular stream and this game. I really enjoyed last week, so hopefully we can have some more fun today. Right, so I'm gonna first thing I'm actually gonna do is to study this. I have a name, a description, a few tantalizing details, but there are a thousand faces in this city. So this apparently, yeah, it's been so long since I did the Aspirant, but apparently this will give us our talk verb, which we were definitely going to need. Okay, what have we got here then? The Forge of Days waits in my dreams. I will learn the Forge's lore, and I dream of this temptation. I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. Okay, let's grab that. So I hope everybody either watching on Twitch or watching later is doing well. It's kind of a, it's like just the whole pandemic situation, right? Things can be difficult for people. I hope everybody's doing as well as they can be, at least. Right, so there we go. There's a talk verb. I wait an answer to a letter. Okay, and now I have an address. I'll dispatch a letter and propose a meeting. Talk is unlocked. Beautiful. So we have these two here. We'll pop the Mystique up there. We'll pop that up there as well. Okay. Now, as the Aspirant, the other thing that we need to do is, probably looking for something from us, right? Yeah, reason. The other thing that we need to do with the Aspirant is actually take care of our boss and take him out somehow. So by using some kind of like hired thug, like maybe an experienced swindler. So not you. But yeah, I think we can take him out somehow. Not sure exactly how right now, but it should be possible to do it in some way. Right, so we have our talk verb. We're going to sit it down here with the rest. The reply to your letter is courteous, if cautious. They are intrigued by how you found their name. Intrigued enough to meet you. Rose and acquaintance. Okay, cool. So we got Rose as our first. Pretty sure we got Rose as our first acquaintance in my priest run as well that I'm currently doing. So I'm doing two runs. I'm doing this one for Twitch and I'm doing one over on YouTube as well. I've got plenty more content over there as well, including a lot of Cultist Simulator too. But yeah, I think Rose is maybe the first person that we had last time as well. But now that we have the ability, we're going to start talking about some lovely Forge lore. Let's see what people think of that, and then run things out. So what were we doing? Skill, hardened physique. So we haven't. Oh, I know exactly what we were doing. We were working on this, right? Getting your, let's see, we need something more in there. Without the right lore, can apply the visible arts to reach even higher summits. So that's going to need a higher level of lore than we have access to. So now the thing is, we probably need to. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what we need to do, because obviously what we can do is just keep the cycle going and keep these glimmerings where they are and wait for the lore to show up and do it that way, which we're probably going to do at least for a while. But it's going to be difficult to keep that cycle going at the same time. But for now we're going to do that. We are gonna as well. Do we keep? Yeah, let's keep exploring with our health and see where that gets us. Got a nice cup of tea as well. It's always good to sit down with a game like this and a nice cup of tea. Right, let's see what we got here. So we got that one. We're going to explore with you then, the next little while. Really waiting on the result of this to see who we get. We do have our two main sources of our early lore, which is Moreland's shop, and then the Oral Flames auction house. Gonna have to deal with that pretty soon. The vitality that we had is gone, so we're gonna have to pay to deal with it. Instead, we got some contentment there, which what we're actually gonna do with that is gonna dream with the dread straight away, just so that we don't have to worry about that then. Remember that I was different before, so we'll start that off. And we will search at you again. It's on. Okay, so we got a glimmering there. So the thing to do now is, you have 104 seconds. You 165. Okay, so we can go another one. That's going to degrade, but then it's basically going to be one of the oldest ones. So let's arrange them by how long they have left, because that's a bit more informative for us. You're there, and then you're there. Yeah. So those two will be studied together once you get one there, and then it'll be that one, and then probably that new one and that one there, I would imagine. Okay, so you should be looking for a reason, so we'll do that. Put that on. So yeah, I'm playing this game now for how long? Must be about 6 months or so. I think it's somewhere around that. But really having a great time with it. I really enjoy the kind of story that you get with a game like this, because it's pretty always well written, which is important, but also I like how it doesn't give you the whole, like, doesn't spoon feed you. So there's a lot of gaps there that so I'm sure some people can look at the lore and figure out exactly, you know, what connects where, and kind of fill in those gaps. But it's kind of nice as well just to use your own imagination to fill things in as well, I think, at times. I'm having fun with that in my YouTube run, where I am where I'm the priest, and I've kind of invented this whole narrative between our priest character, who's called Father Ted, and a fictional parish council, who are basically out to get him, and who are feeding information to the weary detectives to try and get rid of him. And then just as well, kind of role playing the conflict within the cult itself, between the different cult members, and they've got their own little factions in there, and all that stuff is just in my head, but it's fun to do. So we'll do that, and check you as well. The sun still moves, the wind still walks, my journals are the labyrinth clue. Okay, grab that. We'll pop you up there. Okay. Now what we've got here, we've got some mystique. We have a hanger on. Okay, so hangers on do have uses, but for me at least they're not as good as acquaintances. But we'll grab all of that. We'll then pop that back in there again and talk again. So the hangers on probably go there, and we pop her up there. Oh, we need to move over. Yeah, we need to move over one because the cult is going to go right on the edge. So I think you can get like 21 people, or at least we found 21 people in my other run. And I think that's what I had previously as well. And it can take a bit of a while to get those people, but I'm sure we'll get there eventually. So you move there, and then you go there, and then everything is in the right order. We'll study those two together. Again, it's just kind of doing the maintenance type thing. We also need to, luckily I was over here, because I definitely would not have remembered this having moved on in the conversation. So it's kind of lucky that I was over here. Maybe I would have spotted it, because generally I've been good at that recently, is making sure that we don't have a problem with that. But it certainly could have been a bad thing to get some decrepitude at this stage. But we're doing okay. So now we have all of our kind of main verbs that we need. And he won't have found anything. There's always someone who doesn't understand, or who understands too well. This troublemaker may seek evidence on my activities to share with the authorities. So this is the first time the weird detective is showing up in this run. So now we have to be a little more careful. We don't have to like tiptoe around or anything like that. We can certainly get one notoriety, have him turn it into tentative evidence, and then just wait for that to degrade, and we'll be fine. There's no kind of threat to us in terms of us being like in a run ending or anything like that. Right now it's just a case of he's now on the scene, and it's just another thing to kind of keep an eye on. But for the moment, we don't really have the ability to generate enough stuff that is like to generate enough notoriety for him to be a major issue for us. So that's at least one positive thing about the stage we're at the moment. We're about to find another person. We're hoping that it's another acquaintance. Okay. Oh no, it's actually taking our passion. Okay, so that's one thing on. We got glimmering there as well, so that's good, because that's going to help us maintain here. So we put you back in again and start it off. So now we're going to be in a position where you're first, second, third, fourth, then this one, then that one goes to the end. Okay, so then those two, yeah, okay. We're in a good place at the minute. The sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Okay, so health is sorted for the minute. There are more windows in my soul, but sunlight is not the only thing that passes through a window. Use this yeah, okay, gotcha. Right, so you then pop there. So yeah, we've got potentially 4, and we're just going to keep maintaining, so it means that these two will be done together. And again, we move everything up one thing's on as well. Okay, work is done. Yeah, we're gonna have to deal with the younger, I think it's the younger Glover, right, is our boss now, or whoever it is that's our boss now. We're gonna have to deal with them in order to get the opportunity to move up a level to the point where we're going to be able to earn 3 funds per every time that we work, which really will be a game changer for us, because you can see like our funds are just kind of hanging around at the 12-13 level and not really increasing. And anytime that we have an expense, like the way we had to pay for our treatment there not too long ago, we did, then that raises any little bit of progress that we've done. So it can be kind of a it's like at this stage with funds, it's kind of moving forward just to stand still, as it were, where we've got to keep earning more funds, not because we're going to build up a massive bank here, but because if we don't, we're going to be at the point where we're seriously in danger of running out of funds, and then once that happens, then you start getting sick and you're going to end your run. So, but in order to get to that next level where funds are no longer really an issue, we have to get rid of our boss, find a way to do that, and then we should be alright. Okay, so let's see who we found this time. So we got Saliba, an acquaintance. Okay, we'll grab you. So Saliba, you can pop there. And we'll, oops, I do that so often. We'll put that there. We'll then get out talking again about that. So we're just trying to do our preparations so that once we have our cult up and running, we've got a nice foundation, which means that we've got to have a lot of people on hand to. So you're going to go here, and then yeah, you go there. Okay. So we've got to have a lot of people on hand who can be very quickly taken into the cult and raised up through the ranks. So we do those two together as well. Move that there. And then after this one, then we have a little bit of breathing room where we can study something else. And that's going to be important in that cycle, because we can't just keep going on that and not be able to study to get lore, because then what we're doing there is going to be futile. But we did go a bit early on that, and probably should have held off a little bit in order to give ourselves time to get the lore that we needed, and then later on then gone and got our lessons learned. But hey, that's the lesson learned for us, I guess. Right. Oh, we got some fascination here. Okay, interesting. Like that. But that's the danger of going with this, is that you can generate fascination. Now that should be the first one, yeah. And I'd imagine now we're probably going to, in the not too distant future, probably going to get ourselves some probably going to get ourselves some dread. Oh, we've got that anyway, so it doesn't matter. Fleeting memory, I always forget that fleeting memory also counters fascinations. So one of the reasons why it's not as threatening as dread, because there are two ways of getting rid of it. As in, there's two cards that can cancel out. There's obviously, you can dream as well, which opens up another avenue of doing it, but there are two cards that can help you to get rid of it, so it's not as threatening as something like dread is. And also, you know, it's the kind of thing as well with fascination, generally you can avoid producing it. And what I mean by that is, with dread just comes anyway from restlessness, so there's always kind of a background level of dread that's being generated in your game. But generally fascination is generated by your actions, so whether that is by you going exploring, as we're doing, going into the mantis and then picking one card and it produces fascination, or studying some kind of book, or doing a rite, or, you know, everything is basically an action on your part that has created that fascination. So you can kind of mitigate it a lot easier, because you have at least some control over whether it gets generated or not. Now, some of the things that could happen is where, let's say we're going to the Ecdysis Club because we have a problem with our dread, and we also just happen to have a problem with our fascination as well, and then something happens at the club and we generate fascination, or we're trying to get something else and we're not seeing fascination as a particular threat at that moment, but maybe through doing two things at the same time and them both just happen to generate some fascination, then that can be a problem then. But as I said, it's generally more controllable and less of an ongoing threat as dread is. Like, what have we got here? The world as it is, mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane, if that means anything. Oh, we've got a nice fleeting reminiscence there. Roll it on. Okay, so we're going to have to combine those two. Then we will have a bit of breathing room there. Put some more mystique. We got a hanger on. Okay, again, hangers on are lower tier, but hey, can't really complain too much. Let's talk about that again. Just keep that going. We're just going to keep that cycle going of just chatting about, the lore. So at the moment we're kind of haven't even got a cult, right? And what I imagine us to be, we're an aspirant, obviously. So we're kind of an edgy person who sees herself as being more fey with cults and with the occult itself than we are. But we're kind of one of those people who feel like, or who think we know everything there is about cults, whereas actually in reality we know very little about them. But whenever anybody asks us or talks to us about it, we just trot out the same stuff about the Forge lore that we know. And for some people, the likes of Rose and Saliva over here, that's enough to pique their interest at least. But maybe they're kind of at the same stage as us as well, where they don't know all that much about it. They're kind of glad to have found someone else who has an interest in it. Maybe they know a little bit, kind of the same amount as us about a different lore, and just kind of happy to share. There's some restless, so that's going to be some dread for us. But we do have Can Dream It with Discontentment if you want, or even that one. No, can't do it with that one because that one will be gone. And this one might actually degrade before it degrades into dread as well. We'll see that. But yeah, that's the way I kind of imagine things being at the minute, where you probably all meet up in a coffee house. Yeah, I imagine it's a coffee house because even though I like tea, I don't like coffee at all. It's not like that I prefer tea to coffee. I do not like coffee one bit, and even the smell of it I find very off-putting. Let's move you up for the moment. Yeah, so even like the smell of coffee, really don't like it at all. But I imagine for these guys. Oh hey Morjex, thanks for the follow. Morjex is one of my YouTube buddies. We recorded some videos together in the past. Hoping to do again in the future, but he hasn't been producing content for a while. But hopefully he's okay. He's a top guy though. Right, so we need to give our reason over there and do that. Okay, and we're not gonna. So acceptance is our passion, right? And if we do that, that's going to be like a game ending thing, and that's not what we're looking for at the minute. We're not trying to end a run, and I've already got that ending anyway. So we're just try to keep on keeping on with preparing for a cult. So we've got 2 followers, a couple of hangers on. We're going to have to get that all the way up to 20 odd followers, 21 I believe, and then the hangers on will probably get to about maybe 6 or 7 by the time we find those people. We're also going to find other people who can be of use to us in different ways. Now we've got another restlessness here, so this is potentially going to be an issue, because this contentment is going to go. That's then going to degrade into dread. So is that, and then we might get another dread for something else. So potentially we have 3 dread kind of queuing up. Oh, Margic says he's been just busy. I can imagine so. Is it like busy with work or busy with the family, or a combination of the two? Right, yes, so this dread is going to be maybe a bit of an issue for us, but we'll have to see. Right, so we've got here then, that's done. The subtle fractures, at the minute we don't need them. Maybe at some point in the future they will come in handy for if we kind of go heavily into doing rites and stuff, but at the minute it's not really an issue. So we pop that over there as well. We check, so we got time to study for another glimmering there, and yeah, at the moment it's just kind of going through a lot of this stuff. Right, so that one there is going to give us, I believe, one of those one of the, what are they called, the not one of the main lores, one of the ones where it's like a lost fragment or something. This one is going to give us some moth lore, and then these books then are, oh, that's actually not, these 2 are ones that will teach us languages, and this one is going to give us either Grail or Heart lore when we study it, and we'll probably get into studying pretty soon. Let's see, second kiddo was approaching 2. Between that and COVID-induced homeschooling, we've kept our hands full. Yeah, I can understand that. All right. How's the homeschooling going though? How are you finding that? Like, I know, like, talking to a lot of people, they kind of had found it difficult to, didn't really realize what was involved in homeschooling, and it's kind of interesting to me, like, as up until a few months ago, like, I was a teacher for 5 years, so I was just glad though at the end of the day that I could give the kids back to their parents. That was one kind of benefit to it. We're going to get an affliction here as well, so that's going to have to be dealt with in a minute or so. Right, we got our cash there. So now we're at the point where we're at 3 funds here, which is good. We can just keep going with this then. So we won't go for acceptance, but we do have our 3 funds available. So that means that this now is starting to creep up. Our funds are starting to creep up, which means now we can go back to either Moreland's shop or to the auction house and start building our book collection again. So that's going to be good. Got some more Mystique. Mystique really isn't a threat, especially at this point of the game where we don't really have to worry about notoriety. We're going to get something of that as well. We're going to keep on chatting about this and see who we can attract. The kids are back in class full time. Oh, that must be a relief. As long as COVID cases numbers stay lower. Well, hopefully they do. Here where I am in Ireland, the schools have just recently reopened as well. But I know in Japan, where I lived up until last year, the schools have been open pretty much the whole way through. So I was teaching kind of even at the height of the pandemic, because over there generally the numbers aren't anywhere near as crazy as they are in Europe or in the States or in places like Brazil either. But I suppose part of that is the fact that in Japan, as soon as the pandemic hit, people started wearing masks. Like, nobody was told to by the government. People just knew that's what to do, because every flu season, that's what people in Japan do. And we're going to dream these two together. That's going to be good. The doors of vision swing wide. A little darkness will many my light. Even dread has its uses. I think a lot of families have a new and profound appreciation for the teachers in their lives. That's good, because like, speaking as an ex-teacher, I know that it's a very tough job, and it's unfortunately very underpaid as well. But you can say that about a lot of jobs. Like, a lot of people do pretty essential jobs for not very much money, and generally not too much appreciation either. But at the same time as well, teaching has its own rewards too. It's always been great for me when, like, there can be like different rewards. Like, sometimes it can be like, just there's a kid who, when they come into your class, like my last year teaching, I had a kid who, she came into class and she had moved back to Japan from overseas, and she hadn't learned to read English. So her, like, spoken English was pretty good, but her reading was just non-existent, and she was put in a class based on her speaking skill. So it was kind of the higher level kids who had been learning in Japan, so they'd been learning in tandem, speaking and reading. And she was kind of quiet when she came in because of that, especially during reading activities or writing activities, because she didn't have the skills for that. And then but over the course of that year, she got up to the point where she still wasn't like the best in the class at it, but she had enough skill to be able to actually live with the pace of class. So that was kind of like a proud kind of moment for me, that I was able to help her with that. And then there's times where you have kids who are just like, who are unbelievably smart and really good in class, and like, you can see sometimes where you obviously, when you're teaching, you got to teach to the middle level of class. You can't teach to those kids. So anytime where you could challenge a kid like that was always kind of a nice point in class as well. Right, so we have a ridiculous amount of these now, but we're going to keep on keeping them together, because we're going to need them for when we come away from that and start to focus more on, hang on, let me get this done first. When we start to focus more on getting our lore, we're going to have to ignore this for a while and let some stuff degrade. So Morjix, let me ask you another question then. Do you think that when things settle down, you'll actually get back to producing content again? I know for me, like, I had a while where I found it very difficult to actually one, just pure motivation wise, to just keep producing videos. Another is just sometimes life goes crazy, right, and you just don't seem to have any time for anything at all. And what I've learned, at least myself, to do is to record stuff ahead of time and maybe have a series in my back pocket that I can sling up when things go like that. But I know it can be difficult, because when you do that as well, you kind of lose the interaction with people who are posting, because you've already pre-recorded everything, and people are giving you tips, or maybe, you know, saying, oh, maybe name this guy this or whatever, and you can't actually do it because you've recorded too far ahead. But yeah, I'd be kind of interested to see if you're kind of thinking of doing that, because I can tell you, you're definitely missed. I used to absolutely love your content, and I loved hanging out with you as well and playing games together. Right, so we have a Leo here as well. We actually didn't read up on Saliba, or did we? We didn't actually do Rose either. So let's have a read about these guys. So Rose, an acquaintance. Rose is a sly miss, and she recognizes you as someone uncommon. Okay. Then we have Saliba here. Saliba is a man of prodigious appetites. He is long past the point where their satisfaction has given him any pleasure, but he has learnt so very much. Leo is an earnest sort with an interest in the occult. He hangs on your hints about the invisible arts. Okay, so kind of getting a feel of the guys here. So Saliba kind of feels like he's a bit of an old hand, and I'm pretty sure that he is a Grail lore guy, because that's all about pleasures. Rose then is a sly miss, so she probably kind of sits back in conversations and waits for opportunities to maybe throw the odd grenade in, or get her own way by manipulating people. So it seems like. And then Leo seems like that kind of puppy dog person who just kind of is happy to be there with everyone and to hang out, and kind of hangs on your words, as it says there. So yeah, kind of got an interesting group of people now gathered there. Let's see, I've been getting the itch to get back at making some things. I got a few dozen assorted episodes recorded a while back that I could edit and release when I get back into the rhythm of it. Yeah, that's it really, is getting in the rhythm, right? Is because I know some people that we know who've kind of come back for a little while and then had to knock it on the head again for a bit, and that can be very difficult, where, you know, people kind of like consistency, and that's one of the things that when I started, you told me as well, was to just make sure that you are kind of able to produce consistent stuff for people and not be kind of erratic with it. And I've been kind of working hard on that, and that's why with this streaming thing as well, is why I'm only going to do one day a week for the foreseeable future, because it's what I'm comfortable with at the moment. Like, if I just kind of gave in to my urges, I'd probably try and do it 2 or 3 days a week, but I know in my heart of hearts that if I did that after maybe a month or two, something would happen and it would just get too much, and then instead of like reducing the days, I'd probably just stop streaming and just go back to purely making videos again. Right, so we have 3 hangers on and 3 acquaintances at the minute. We're hoping for another acquaintance out of that. We've got this available, and what we'd probably do is, now that we're getting some funds, we're going to go to Moreland's shop. I'm going to start just exhausting the books that Moreland has. So let's have a little read of what it says about Moreland. It takes time to sort the gold from the dross, the wheat from the chaff, the blood from the water. If I buy enough books, I'll find something interesting. So Moreland always costs 1. So in terms of the books you can get some decent bargains there. The auction house will vary. Sometimes you will get 1. Oh, have you gone to 2? Yeah. So that now, we were talking about before, those 2 restlessness have now converted to dread and being captured. So 1 more dread could do us in, but this here is going to give us a contentment in a second, and then that's going to reduce that back down to 1. But what we need to do is, we either need to dream, we get some opium and dream to get that extra contentment, to just wipe it out, or we'll have to go to the club and do it that way as well. Some days are better than others. Sometimes the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. Okay, so that will be auto-captured for that one. And then once that's done, we'll work on getting another one. So don't really mind the detective being on the prowl at the moment, because there's nothing that we have that is going to be a problem for us. The Horace Book 1 in Latin, a 19th century reprint by the indefatigable Nathaniel Darcy Evers, or 14th century Latin translation of a 4th century work. Okay, so that is in Latin. You're not pretty sure that's Greek, right? So you're going to go there. Latin's going to go there. So that will have to be translated before we get working on that. Yeah, but more just, I think it'd be great to see you back producing stuff again, because I don't know how you do it, but you have a great knack of finding games that just kind of speak to me. We don't actually need to do that at the minute because we've got 109, so let's put the passion instead. Yeah, and if anybody watching this later on the VoD is wondering, like, Morjex is on YouTube as Morjex, and you should definitely go and check out his stuff. Whether or not he's going to be producing new content in the next while or not, there's just tons of great content on there. The guy's great to listen to, and generally just pretty good guy. Right, so we're going to go back to Moorlands again. We're going to pay the 1. Again, it's a pretty decent price to pay. As I said, sometimes in the auction house you can end up paying over the odds for stuff, but I don't mind that, because generally shouldn't do that though. Generally in the auction house, like between that and the Moorlands, you want to buy all the books that you can, whether you're paying over the odds or not, because a lot of the books are one-off and you're not going to get them anywhere else, so you may as well do it. But even for the ones that aren't one-offs, you're still paying not too much, like between 1 and 3 generally. Sometimes you have to pay 4. That's pretty rare. 4, either an easier route to improving your skills, or for a piece of lore that's going to help you at some point in the future. So overall, it's pretty good. Okay, so he won't have anything. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and they found no new clues. That's gonna stay that way until we really get into our pursuits with the cult, because there aren't too many other ways that we can generate notoriety as we are. Right, so we got Traveling at Night, Volume 2, the annotated dream journals of Christopher Alopoli, sometimes called the only readable occultist. Illiterate, entertaining, bewildering. This is the 2nd volume. Okay, so we grab that and we pop that over there. It doesn't need to be translated, so we can go to the top level, and then we'll go back to Moorlands. So we should get, hang on, that's going, okay, good. We should get a decent amount of books before Moorlands kind of shuts down on us. And then if we want, then once we have our cult started, it's a decent place to move our cult to as well. Right, so now we have a little bit of an issue, but not too much. So we've got that restlessness there, which is going to degrade into more dread. And then, so this is going to drop us back down to 1 dread, but if it gets captured, it's going to bring us back up to 2. So what we want to do now is we've done this one here. We're going to check if we found. Okay, so we got Cat. So Cat Caro. Cat was actually the. Is she Lantern? I think she might be Lantern, and I think she was maybe my de facto leader of my Lantern cult when I did a Lantern or Enlightenment victory. But what we're going to do is we're going to go visit the club because I haven't been there this session yet. Oh, we have to wait for that to finish. Right, let's wait for you to finish and then do that. I don't know why I was thinking it was the talk verb, but let's get the talk verb on the go again anyway. So Morjax, have you ever played this game before? Because I know you are into your card games, at least your physical card games. Let's study those two together and then arrange these. There we go, in that order. Mystique can pop up there. Temptation we don't worry about yet. We don't really need to do anything with that at the minute. We haven't really decided what victory we're going to go for, so we don't need to. Once you kind of decide if you're going to go for temptation victory or whatever, that's when you need to prepare for it beforehand. You can't really just start on it because then it's gonna cause you some issues. So what we've got here, the Orchid Transfiguration Volume 1, a 16th century alchemical fever dream attributed to Robert Flood, frequently banned for the disturbing allure of its illustrations. Okay. Right, so now we're going to go here. We have to pay 1 as our entry. I'm going to see what the performance is like. In tonight's performance, Amethyst, a net-wielding hunter, pursues a veil-winged woman through a murmuring maze of leaf-clad dancers. Each movement is underwater slow. And we're going to get some fascination there from that. So that's not great. But what we'll do to counter that is we can go buy a tincture of opium. In times of a special crisis, I might visit a discreet pharmacist to purchase a tincture of opium and make my dreams sweet, but only in times of special crisis. So that will give us the content that we need. Then that fascination that we're going to generate from here, we can actually use on this once it degrades as well. Let's see. I have to say that although I've been lurking a while, I've been impressed with your Viniative. You made like triple the videos I've done over the years. It's an impressive feat. Well, cheers for that. I played Cultist Simulator a bit when it first came out, maybe just after release. I found it detailed or somewhat dense. It struck me as a sort of thing that has a lot of replayability once you get into it. Yeah, it definitely has tons of replayability. There's lots of endings to do, and like I've gotten a few different endings depending on like some of them connected with my cult, some of them connected with my temptation, some of them connected with like your job. You can get endings there as well, and then you unlock different characters which then have their own unique endings too. And then you've also got side of the game which is the summonings or the rites, which I've done a little bit for game ending stuff, but haven't done that much into, so there's still a lot of that to explore as well. But yeah, it definitely has tons of replayability. And something that I like about it as well is that there's a wiki for the game which I use pretty often actually to help me out, because I often forget certain like points about things. But the wiki isn't like a how-to. It'll just tell you like what each of the cards does, and you can then figure out from there, like by combining things together, how to do certain things. But it doesn't give you kind of a guide of like, this is how you get this is how you get this ending, or this is how you get that ending. So I like that, because I generally don't. I like to kind of stumble into things. It's kind of nice. But yeah, I think, like, talking about the amount of content I produce, I took to very much to heart one of the, again, some great advice that you gave me, which was to get better at this kind of thing. You've got to do it, and that's some of the best advice I got in terms of when I started out. Was just, you just need to get used to sitting, especially making videos where you're sitting there and you're not really talking to anybody as such, especially when you start out, when you're going to get like 0 to 1 views, and the 1 view is going to be like 10 seconds or something on your video. You just got to keep doing it until you get better. It's the same as kind of any pursuit, but some people look at, you know, people like PewDiePie or Jacksepticeye or whoever else, and think that, oh yeah, within 6 months, like, I'll have 1 million subscribers or whatever, and then after 3 months, when they've still got the same maybe 10 subscribers or a little bit more that they got in their first week or so, they completely lose heart and give up. And yeah, that was really great advice from yourself and from from yourself and from names, actually, Game Night. How did I forget Game Night's name? But yeah, to stick on in there, because most people don't. I have definitely improved. I'm still not up to, I wouldn't say I'm up to your guys' level yet, but I feel like I've improved a lot over the years that I've been doing this, and I think the main thing as well is I'm still enjoying it, which is great, because I realized kind of over the last few years, if I get to the point where it's not fun anymore to do this stuff, I will just quit. I'm not going to keep it on. Whereas there was a point where I was kind of him and hawing about things and thinking, why, kind of gotten to a point where I'm thinking, why is my channel not growing at all? And I feel like I'm getting better, but it's not getting reflected in the views I'm getting or the new subscribers I'm getting or anything like that. And then I just decided, listen, forget about that. You're recording videos and you're putting them on the internet for whoever wants to watch them, and as long as you are enjoying doing that process and a few people are watching and enjoying your content, then you need to be happy with that, because you're not going to be some massive YouTuber. So forget about that, and so either make a decision to quit or to keep going. And just made the decision, yeah, I'm happy enough to keep going at that. And I've got on most of my series maybe 1 or 2 people who will regularly post comments and stuff, and I can see that they're enjoying the stuff that I'm putting up, and I'm happy with that, because I wanted to make videos for people like me who I know are not in kind of the majority of YouTube viewers, where maybe tastes a little bit different. We like a little slower play. We like the people to just chat about generally what's going on with them, rather than just kind of having this over the top fake personality trying to be excited about everything all the time. That's not something that I want to watch, and a lot of people do want to watch it, and fair play to those people. But I wanted to make content for people like me who don't like that kind of stuff, but who would still enjoy just watching someone chat away and play a video game that isn't like all flashing lights and whatever. So what we got here, we got a collection of poetry. So that's good, because that then lets us at some point let one of these degrade and not have to worry about it. Now, one thing about those is you can end up at a point where you end up maxing out your skills, and then you've got them left over where you can't use them, but you can still sell them at the auction. So if they're going to cost you 1 in the shop, they're going to sell for at least one in the auction, so you're not really losing money by doing that. That's a very healthy approach to it. Lots of online aspirations have been dashed on the rocks of impatience and expectation. Very true, very true. And actually, talking about like getting into stuff like this as well, if anybody's thinking of getting in, Mordrix also wrote a pretty comprehensive guide to making YouTube videos, and a lot of the advice in there is still very relevant now. So you should definitely go check that out too. But yeah, there's so many people who are impatient. I've seen all these people who they'll come around and say, "Oh, I'm starting up a YouTube channel. Can you subscribe to me?" And I go and subscribe, and then they produce actually decent content. And that's the thing that people don't realize, is that it's not always the case that like there's a massive gulf in quality between like massive YouTubers and we small YouTubers at the bottom. Although there is, like, for a lot of the top guys, they have some kind of X factor, which is fair enough. But like, it's not like these people are producing trash videos. It's just that the discoverability of it isn't there, and you've got to kind of do the grind and let people discover you over an extended period. Okay, so what have we got here? The wolf despair prowls elsewhere. Okay, so that can pop up there. And then still got our restlessness and our temptation. Move those on. Okay, who do we find this time? Dr. Ibn al-Adam. So this is one of the guys who generally I think there's 5 of them in the game, 5 or 6, who you can do commissions for, and you will be able to get the what's it called, Spiritua, or whatever the special currency in the game is that can be used to get certain items or repair certain items for use in rites later on. So he's not someone that we can recruit for a cult, but he certainly is a decent contact to have. Now we're going to keep on preaching. The next time that when this ends here, we're going to study those 2 together, and then we're going to then have a break from studying that and study one of our books instead, and just start building up the lore that we have. So we've just got the one piece of lore at the minute, but we have the opportunity now to extend that. Right, so we grab you, the glimmering then can go there. Those 2 will be studied together, and once they are done, we're gonna have one rotation before. Oh, should have hit the start button. We're gonna have one rotation before that. Then these 2 need to be studied together, so that's fine. But generally we're well sorted with this anyway. We've got plenty in the bank there, and it's not really going to be an issue for us. What do we get this time? The Victory of Crowns, erratic accounts by one Aaron of the hunting and consumption of supposed immortals by shadowy cults of assassins, published in the late 19th century. Okay, we'll grab that. It's another one that can be studied without the need for, no, we don't need to go to you yet, without the need for translation. That's going to be good. So we're going to study then left to right, top to bottom, those ones. Going to keep on trying to acquire more books as well. Yeah, once you kind of get to the point where your funds, your income from your job is increasing by 3, you're kind of in a decent position then to get yourself nicely prepared for when you're going to start your cult. So when you start your cult, you're going to want to have a decent amount of lore in place so that you can boost your people up. First of all, obviously, at the moment they're acquaintances, so they're going to have to be turned into believers and recruited into the cult. But also, we're going to, before we send them on their first expedition, we're going to need to boost some of them up at least, so that we give ourselves at least some chance to pass some of the checks, because otherwise you get into a loop and you're going to get people are going to get injured, and it's not going to end well for you. Right, so let's keep on acquiring the books. I always kind of get sad with Moorlands when I get to kind of this stage where I start wondering when it's going to be that we are no longer going to be able to get books from there, because that day is coming. Let's pop you in there. Oops. Okay, let's get that going again. There we go. Yeah, another reason why we're going to want to study this stuff and get it ready is because we're going to be able to open up the mantis for ourselves, and once we're able to do that, then we're going to be able to get access to more cards. So got another glimmering lesson learned, which will go at this end. So I'm going to study you first. Right, so the dancers draw from the traditions of the mysteries, of the cults of Isis and of Cybele, but include both symbolic and literal flayings, and the human heart is always central to the rites. The author punctuates his accounts with queasily sensuous descriptions of his own interrupted feasts. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, so other than kind of recording games and stuff, the other thing that's kind of been keeping me, I guess, sane during the whole lockdown period is D&D. So most of my group are still in Japan. One of the guys is from Florida, has gone back to Florida for the moment, but we meet generally once a month, but in this month we can't, because a couple of the guys are moving house within Japan to different areas of the prefectures that they live in, so we kind of had to delay it until I think it's the 11th of April is the next time. But what I've been doing instead is that in between sessions I've been doing one-on-one sessions with the guys, and so the way that works is the group will play together and get to a certain point in the story, and then we finish a session, and then they'll have like a couple of in-game days to do stuff by themselves. We're gonna have to sort that as well though. Yeah, I don't want that to build up while I'm prattling away, so we're gonna go and get some more opium, because why not, right? Opium's the answer to all your worries in Cultist Simulator, not in real life. In times of special crisis, I might visit a distinct pharmacist to purchase a tincture of opium and make my dreams sweet, but only in times of special crisis. So we'll start it off. Yeah, so we'll play, maybe 3 or 4 days as a group, and then in game then there'll be 2 days between whatever happened at the end of the last group session, and then each player then can individually play the next 2 in-game days solo with me DMing, and that way then they can explore, kind of develop their character more and explore stuff that they specifically want to explore, and then some of that will feed back into the main storyline. Some of it will be kind of personal to their character, so that they feel like they have control over what they share with the group and what they don't. They don't need to share everything with them, but anything pertinent generally they will. And also what we've done too is that at sometimes either a player will have done enough sessions where they've actually reached the next jumping off point for the group session, and therefore can't play any further until we have another group session, or it will be a case where we left off with the group session might be kind of out in the middle of nowhere, or is like the middle of a battle, or a battle's about to start, or something like that, and it doesn't make sense to kind of move things forward on like from that timeline on an individual basis. So what I do then is we go backwards into the character's past, and yeah, let's talk about that again. We head back into the past, and that way then they can develop their backstory a bit more, and some of it will be kind of in the player's control, in that like I'll ask them to give me a number of characters that and tell me the connection between them, and then I'll use them as kind of a basis to build certain episodes or parts of their background, and then I'll introduce other characters as well, and from that then we can like, instead of them saying like, just sometimes in a session you might get a point where a player will say, oh well, because of I have such and such a background, therefore I should know someone that can do this particular thing, or has this skill, or is connected to this organization, or whatever it is, and then at that time generally an NPC is introduced and created for the story, but they don't have any depth to them because it's just been created on the spot, right? But this way, when the player gets that situation in current time, they can think back to their one-on-one sessions from the past and say, oh, I actually know this person, and I know that they can do XYZ for us, and it feels kind of more natural, and you don't kind of have to spoon feed them things or anything like that. They can take the lead as well, which I love. They can take the lead and introduce that NPC to the group, either like in terms of just explaining who they are and telling the group, I'll go meet them and let you guys know what happened, or bringing the people there and introducing them physically to them as well. So it's a nice thing to do. But let's see what we have here. Red wrapped in the king. At these greater feasts, the black pig is always crowned as king before it's slain. On this occasion, its heart was weighed in the balance against a knot of feathers, and its skin became a cape for the officiant. Its flesh was left for the crows, but I must confess my interest was not in its carcass, but in the perfumed flesh of the milliner laid fresh in the earth. Okay, so we got some vitality, and then we got some heart lore out of that, and it's a higher level lore as well than the one we have, so that's going to be good for us. The vitality may come in handy when we get another affliction, which are kind of due to get one pretty soon as well. Now at this stage we've got to kind of make a decision where our lore goes, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to move our funds just down here in with that, and then we're going to start maybe building a lore here, and maybe this stuff is going to have to migrate down the table, but I kind of like to have, there's not going to be enough room over here because we're going to have to expand people up this way and probably down this way as well. Actually, you guys should probably come down because we're going to have 21 of you, so you can fit 7 in across this way, 3 rows is fine. If you can't, we'll do 5 across and maybe 1 on their own. But yeah, I think that's kind of a nice layout to have there. Yeah, it is kind of nice to add the depth in there. All right, Morjax. I remember so I've actually been playing D&D all that long. It's maybe 3 years now, but like I've watched it a lot. But when I started first, I was I was the new guy, right, and kind of sat back and just kind of watch what people were doing, but a lot of the stuff we were doing was kind of from modules and things like that, and they're kind of very generic and not really personal, and then it's kind of up to the players to put their own personal stuff on it. So what I when I kind of took over as the DM, what I tried to do then was move away from that and make the story very personal to the players, in that I don't generally have an overall kind of plan for a campaign, other than like what I'll do is I'll know kind of in my head that these things are happening in the world, but I'm not going to force the players to go and deal with, you know, this big bad dude over here, or this dragon over here. What I'm going to do is use what the players have as their own motivations, and then weave the story around that. And then as they discover what's happening in the world, they can decide what they're interested in themselves, and it's kind of a nice way to give them more ownership of the story and make it feel like that it's our world. It's not a world that I've created and a story that I've created. It's our story, and it feels like they're getting a lot more buy-in from them on that as well. And some of the guys who are kind of newish to D&D as well, one of the guys said to me like that some of the stuff that we've been doing in our one-on-one, he didn't even realize that it was possible to do that, because generally he's kind of the way I was, where you kind of sit back and let the more experienced players get on with things. But now he gets to take a bit more center stage himself. He's kind of enjoying that as well. How about you? Do you play D&D, right? Let's get back to Moorlands again. Right, so this one is going to be like a secret histories. We'll pop it over there. Actually, I want to swap with that. I'll put it there. Yeah, okay. So right now, funds-wise, we're doing fine. I don't think that's the right amount of funds, so is it? Pretty sure, yeah, it did its kind of glitchy thing where it doubles up when certain things occur. We'll pop you there. But we're buying books and it's holding steady at around 12 to 13, which is pretty nice, because that means that once we stop buying books, it's gonna go up. And what I like to do is have it somewhere kind of in the 40s or 50s at least by the time that we're ready to go and do our first expedition, because expeditions is going to cost you 2 funds to start out, and then at some point during the expedition generally they're going to ask for more funds as well. So you can't be kind of on the situation where you're just eking things out. You've got to have some money put aside there, and you've got to be able to sustain that as well, because you might be going on an expedition and you might still be, you know, spending money on other things. Maybe it's, you know, we've got to go to the Ecdysis Club because our dread is getting up, or we get an affliction and we've got to go get some opium or something like that. So yeah, I'm liking where our funds are going at the moment, in terms of sustainability for the future. You've been using Roll20 as the online home of our game. It's been really excellent so far. Yeah, we use that as well. So we started out by using Roll20 completely, in that we used it for our maps, for our character sheets, for our rolls, and also for audio and camera. But we found that the audio and camera wasn't great, so now we've switched to Zoom for the camera stuff and just kept Roll20 for everything else, and that's been really good way to do it. And it's kind of a nice thing as well, because even when our group goes back to being in person, not everyone's going to be able to make the in-person sessions, including myself, because obviously I'm I'm half the world away now from where those guys are. but also even some of the guys in Japan, because of where people have moved to, it's not going to be possible for everybody to go to every in-person session. So it's going to be nice to be able to do a hybrid of that, where I can put the maps up on Roll20, and those who are there physically can use the map on the table to replicate what's on there for when there's fights and stuff, and move the minis around and stuff like that, and we can kind of do a bit between the two. I think that's going to be nice. I think it's going to work well. But I know some of the guys are kind of itching to get back to playing in person as well, because it's kind of a nice way just to spend time with people before and after the game as well. You get to chat. We do a little bit of that on Zoom as well, but you can't really have, when you're on Zoom, kind of everybody's in the conversation, right? Whereas when you're in person, you can have when you've got a large kind of group, you can have like a couple of people having their own conversations before and after the game starts and stuff. So it's kind of nice like that from the in-person point of view. But yeah, Roll20 I think is a pretty excellent tool, and anybody who hasn't used it before, I definitely recommend it. And let's see what we've got here. Some days are better than others. Sometimes the sky is nothing like a filthy sheet. Sometimes the river runs clear. Okay, so that's some content for us. Not content, content for us. So all of our worries about dread are gone for the minute. So that one's going to degrade now in a second. So we're probably going to have to study under passion to help with that. But we can get another book in as well. So I'm wondering which book we're going to use. And what did we get here as well? We got the Orchard Transfiguration Volume 2. Okay, so we've either got another copy of that or we've got Volume 1. Probably Volume 1 because that's unique, yeah. So I think that's Volume 1 there, right? Yeah, okay. That's kind of nice. We've got both of those now. And I'm not sure whether they are Heart or Grail lore, but maybe we're going to have a decent start with our Heart lore. And then we'll go back to Moorlands again. And kind of looking at the stack of books that we have over there, it's getting pretty close to the point where we're gonna get, I don't remember the name of the book, but it's the book that kind of tells you more or less that it's closed. Right, so Madame Olympie Béchier edits the Kersham Review, which publishes material too gassy or thrilling for other literary magazines. You could use your assistance. Okay, so she's another one that we can do kind of little mini quests for to get some coin for if we need. Generally she'll have some other use if we're going for a certain victory or certain rights. She may have some use in that, but at the moment that's kind of what we would use her for. Yeah, we're gonna speak about this and see who we track now. Okay, so got that there. You have 170 left, which means that let's read them in order, right? Because this is volume 1, so let's pop that in there. Oh no, because that's in Latin. Right, so you two actually have to go down there, and then go with you. I'm pretty sure that kind of pinkish red color is almost certainly going to be Heart. In the original myth, Marsyas lost a musical contest and was flayed by Apollo, who later regretted it. In this version, Marsyas' skin has a further history. Oh, did you get turned into a book as well? So what are you guys playing on your D&D then, Mordix? Is it like a homebrew, or are you doing a module, or what kind of thing are you doing? Let's keep going on this because it's paying the bills and keeping the lights on. And you should actually move over here too. Okay, what book did we get then? The Humours of a Gentleman. Samuel Savage's theatrical comedy on the intrigues of the ailing but cunning John Sonnet, his mistress Mavelyn, her lover Leo, and the upstart Corvino. Okay, pop that over there as well. We'll just keep on going back to Moorlands because we're a sucker. It kind of reminds me of when I was a kid and I used to go to a like secondhand bookstore. What was it called? Like Hannah something in Dublin. They had a few stores around Dublin, but I used to go in there and buy choose your own adventure books, and I would go there and whatever ones they had that I didn't have, I would just buy. I wouldn't even like look at the covers or whatever, because it was kind of rare for them to have too many of them. So they might have like 2 or 3 that I hadn't seen before, and I just go in and buy them. And that's kind of the way Moorlands is for me as well. Is I just go in, give me all the books. Let's see. It's Dragon Age RPG. I'm the healer and I have a stealthy, stabby, and changing warrior that need almost non-stop healing. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, charging warrior, not changing. Yeah. I can see how that could be a bit of an issue. And how long have you guys been playing your current campaign? Right, what we've got here: study Apollo and Marcius. The skin of Marcius gives oracles and is later smuggled. The skin of Marcius gives I think it's given or something to oracles, and is later smuggled to Phrygia, where the priestesses of Cybele use it for a drumhead. At the upper's climax, the pounding of the drum drives would-be violators, the priestesses, to suicidal madness. The opera ends with a wistful hymn from the youngest priest on the beauty of mountain pines. Okay, yep, so there we go. We did get another heart lore, so it can pop on over there. Right, so we should now study again to get another passion, or another glimmering with our passion. Okay, so we're going to get an affliction there, but we're going to be able to take care of it pretty easy. He's not going to do anything to us. Got some funds there as well, so we'll keep going there. Okay, what do we get? On what is contained by silver, the bestiary of Pomander in Greek. Okay, like that. So we can at some point translate that. But generally I like to get through all the books that don't need translation first, because they are generally the lower level of lore, but you can kind of like get a kind of nice little start kit for your lore with that. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm sane, if that means anything. Or for the moment it does. I'm glad we're sane. At least in one incarnation. Since mid-2020, it's still fairly new, but good fun. Organising over 4 time zones with various schedules can be a bear sometimes. It certainly can, yeah. I know all about that too. Yeah, we've got we're over 3 time zones, but they're kind of fairly disparate. So we've got the bulk of both of our guys are in Japan. Then we've got me in Ireland and one guy in Florida as well. But we've had instances where one of the guys who DM'd before had to go back to Canada for a year as well. So yeah, it can be difficult to organize things, even when everyone kind of has the best will in the world to kind of try and get things done. So what do we get here? We learn from each other. So we've got Count Jannings. Count Gottlob Jannings represents the Continental Confraternity of Physicians and Duelists. You could use your assistance. Okay, so he's another guy that pops up there in that little group. So we should pop you there because you're the next level on. Actually, you're 2 levels on, so you should be there. But we'll talk about you again, see who we get. Yeah, that's kind of one of the sad things about kind of tabletop stuff is just the difficulty of getting everyone together for it, and it can be the same with kind of collabing here as well on for Twitch or YouTube or wherever. So you've got a collection of poetry there that no matter how much you want to record with someone, and no matter how regularly you kind of want to do that, life and schedules get in the way, and you can never do it as much as you want to do it. So then when you do get to do it, you kind of feel very privileged and lucky and try and make the most of it. That's what I feel as well with D&D. You know, anytime that we can get a session going, it's great. And it's one of the reasons why we're playing our current campaign, is because when I moved back to Ireland, we hadn't played, we didn't play much over last summer, really. And part of that was because the guy who was DMing at the time was finding it difficult to get motivated to produce content and DM. So we agreed that he would wind that down a little bit before we left Japan, and then I took over then as DM and kind of started the new campaign up, and kind of committed to the idea that we would on average at least play once a month. It's kind of difficult to, anything more than that is really difficult to do, especially when people have families and wives and stuff, and like some of the guys will get an earful if they play more than once a month, which is fair enough. You know, you've got other commitments as well, so try to be fair to everybody. And again, doing the one-on-one sessions is a great way to be able to do that, because it means that those who can only play in the group sessions can still do that once a month, and those who want to play more often than that can do that as well, without kind of compromising the overall story for the guys who wouldn't be able to make it if we made it a group session. Right, so we grab that, and then we'll get back in there as well. Start that up. So now we have 5 people. Let's have a look at the 2 new people that we got as well. So Kat Caro, as she styles herself, earns a living as a stage medium and a fortune teller. She may have deeper talents. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that she is lantern lore. Yeah, and she was, yeah, when I had my lantern cult, she was kind of one of the leaders of it. And then we have Clovette, an acquaintance. Clovette is happy in a way that brooks no counter-argument to happiness. Yeah, so Clovette is kind of happy all the time. So it's going to be interesting now with the, just in my little head, my little fantasy interaction I have between these guys. But you've got Rose here, who's sly and will kind of wait for opportunities to advance her own agenda. And then you got Saliba, who feels like he's done it all, seen it all, and is just out for satisfying his own drives or needs. Got Leo, who hangs on her every word. We've got Kat, who is a medium and fortune teller and would see herself as being fairly au fait with the occult and probably more practiced than most of the people that we have in a little circle. And then we have Clavette, who is always happy, but with some of the people that she is now acquainted with, maybe that's going to be a little bit more difficult, especially if Rose starts to kind of pick on her and try to undermine that happiness as well. Okay, so we've got ourselves a new book. So this one is The Locksmith's Dream, A Light Through the Keyhole, the first volume of Tessera Galmier's examination of parallels in the mystic dreams of artisans. Okay, so she's obviously, you meet her in the Mantis, right? And the Knight's Pavilion or something like that. So we put that over there. We're going to keep on going. And again, it's just that thing with Moorlands that when you see how many books you have like this, every time that you go to Moorlands you think, is this going to be the last time? Right, so we got our health back as well, which is good. And we got another lesson down there. So where are we here? We got 84 on that, and that one is going to degrade pretty soon, so it means we can stick another book in here. So what do we want? This I think is going to be Edge. That's probably going to be Lantern. Let's go for some possible Lantern out of that, I think. Humors of a Gentleman. By the end of the first act, Maybelline has revealed a secret door in the walls of the house to Leo, and Corvino has taken to consuming worms. Delicious worms, eh? Put that on. I'm safe for now. My adversary has not enough evidence to bring a case against me. They've found no new clues. That's okay. He's not really a threat at this stage of the game, because again, like, even with an unusual set of circumstances, we're only going to produce one notoriety from some kind of random act, and then it's only going to allow him to get tentative evidence which you can wait through, and especially when you're not in a period of your cult where you're generating notoriety regularly, it's not something you need to really worry about. Let's have a look at that new book. It is The Burning of the Unburnt God, compiled by Hosti Tasmain from an oral tradition in rural Persia. Okay. And who have we got this time? A hanger-on, okay. Certainly be useful later, but we would rather get someone who is recruitable. But yeah, we're gonna... Where did it go? Oh, it's over here. It's where I put it. That's where it went. Have you found streaming versus pre-recording or Twitch versus YouTube? It's kind of it's interesting because like this is just my second stream here, but so pre-recording I kind of like I've got down pretty well where I can just jump in and I know what game I'm going to record, I know how long I'm going to record for, and just bang out episodes, and it's not that bad. And then obviously afterwards, then there's kind of the I suppose some of the pain comes afterwards, where you have to do all the editing and the uploading and the scheduling and stuff like that. But Twitch, in terms of just being like a lot of skills obviously transfer over from YouTube in terms of playing the game and chatting about what you're doing, but then there's the extra layer of chat, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm lucky, I feel very privileged that you taking your time to come here and chat with me tonight. And I was lucky enough as well last week as well that the Super Ginge came and chatted with me for a bit last week too. So I'm liking the interactivity of it. That's kind of one thing that I would say it has definitely over just doing YouTube videos, where you can get, first of all, you can kind of get instant feedback on stuff, and you can get maybe now and again some tips on the game as well, that you don't have to wait. You would know yourself, right? Sometimes you record in a batch and you record maybe 4 or 5 videos ahead, and then on the first of that batch someone posts a tip for you that you're not going to be able to put into practice until after that batch of videos when you go to do the next one, right? So, and depending on how often you release, that could mean that it's going to be like, by the time somebody sees it on the channel, it's going to be like a month or more when you've taken an action. Whereas on here, someone can give a tip and straight away I can do it. We did get some nice lantern lore as well. The play is scabrous and occasionally hilarious. The characters are country and capricious. Many of the more resonant lines might well be formulaic power disguised in plain sight. Okay, perfect. So we can pop you on there as well. And then, where did Moreland's... Oh, that was a study. Every time I'm looking for Moreland's all the time. Right, so what do we need to do now? You two need to be combined. So we'll do that. So just kind of over time, those are degrading a little bit, and we're losing one or two of them, but it's okay because we've got these two in the bank as well. It's going to make it a lot easier to get up to Passion 5 for things. The time delay is definitely the Achilles heel of pre-recorded, but also batch processing is a very efficient production method. That's very true. Yeah, once I found how to do it on I use Vegas, Sony Vegas to do my, so that's a nice little Latin grammatic there as well. I use Sony Vegas to do my stuff, and once I figured out how the batch processing worked, it was such a godsend. Just to be able to line up, sometimes it can be just like 2 episodes, but they're long episodes back to back, or sometimes 3 or 4, and then leave it process overnight. It's just so great, because otherwise I used to have to, like, I'd be able to do one overnight, and then that time be wasted, and then to process other things you would have to, like, I've only got the one laptop, so I either process or record. I can't do the two at the same, because the processing is going to just lag the hell out of whatever game I'm playing. So having that available is great. But the good thing about Twitch is that I can just take the VoD from this and like last week, take it and put it up on YouTube and not have much of a problem, because there's not much that needs to be cut out from it either, so I don't need to do any editing or anything like that with it. And yeah, that's kind of nice too, that when you finish your stream, you're actually, apart from remembering to download the VoD and then re-upload it onto YouTube, you're actually done. So that's kind of a nice thing as well from there. Right, so that is going to give us some more restlessness. Okay, so let's see what we got in these ones. So you're done. We swap you two around, so it's got 160 to go. We've got you as well, so let's see. So you have 140 to go. So if we study another book and then get another glimmering, we can combine. Okay, yeah, that's fine. So let's pick a book. I'd like to get maybe some more heart lore, because if we get another one of the same level, we can study the two together and get to a higher level than that as well. So we're going to try that. So we're going to try this one. In Arabella's introduction, she explains that the book was to be illustrated, but the Suppression Bureau would not permit it. She hints that the illustration still exists somewhere. The book is dedicated to Sir Percival of the Red Cup. Okay, so this is not going to be heart. This is actually maybe Grail lore, but yeah. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe that one, The Queen of the Rivers, a surreal contemporary play. Yeah, we're going to try this first, and then we'll come back to that one. But this might be just Secret Histories. It's got more the tint of Secret Histories than it does for heart. The Queen of Vistula is poisoned. The Queen of the Dnipro chokes on a fishhook. The Queen of the Tagus is burnt alive. Just lovely ways for them all to go, eh? And then let's check this one. Mirrors are calm, the sun is steady, the glory recedes. I'm saying if that means anything. So you can go there and check here. The Forge of Days waits in my dreams. I will learn the Forge's lore and I dream of this temptation. I can advance my purpose. The need gnaws at me. It doesn't gnaw at me that much though, so you can just wait over there. See, oh, I missed this one. Happy to make it. You made my Monday a great deal more fun than it would have been. Well, that's good. That's nice, because it's nice to return the favor. Because I can't tell you the number of evenings when, especially when I was in Japan, where I'd maybe come back from teaching and I wasn't in the best of moods for whatever reason, or maybe just tired, and I was just able to put on one of your videos and just relax and just enjoy things and settle down. That was just great. So I'm glad I was able to return it for at least one evening. But yeah, I think that's why. It's one of the reasons why I think, like, you know, it's nice to have things like Twitch and YouTube that just allows smaller content creators to do their thing. Because, like, what was the name of that one? There was one that came along. I tried it for a while in tandem with YouTube that looked like it might be an alternative to YouTube back when they were kind of giving copyright strikes left, right, and center, but that kind of faded away. But there's no real alternative to stuff like to YouTube and Twitch at the moment, at least, because a lot of the other ones are either only geared towards having, like, you already having a following and bringing them to that platform, or if you're going to be a smaller content creator over there, there's actually an expense linked with getting the benefits that are kind of automatically given to the big content creators. But what have we got here? We've got Auclair, an acquaintance. Auclair has a scholarly aspect and a morbid streak. Okay, so she's going to be a nice. We put her beside Clovette, so we'll have like the happy-go-lucky, never get sad person sat right beside the really morbid person, and let's see who rubs off more on who, eh? Right, so we're gonna get out chatting again and see what we get there. No, it wasn't Mixer. Mixer, I think, is still going. It was like whatever the name of it was, it's shut down now. Mixer was the one that I multi-streamed to, but not much ever came of it. Yeah, Mixer is kind of the one I was thinking of in terms of it's an alternative, really, I guess, to Twitch, but you've got to. It's the one where people. Oh, finally, Morland's gone. But it's the one where you have to take your audience there, as it were. Which can be difficult moving from one platform to another. especially when people are kind of used to using a certain platform. It's kind of hard to get them to adopt. And if you're not like I know you had you still have actually a fairly large following, but you know, I'm talking about kind of the PewDiePies of this world, or what was that guy, Ninja, was it, that went to Mixer and got paid a ton of money to go there? But it's those kind of guys who can afford to do that, to hop onto another platform because they're getting money to do it in the first place, that will compensate them for any kind of for any lost earnings or whatever. But let's have a look here. So we've got Moorlands is closing. I'm moving on, Miss Moreland informs you. My stock is largely exhausted and the Suppression Bureau are taking an interest. So it's goodbye. This last book is nonsense, but I've tucked some interesting papers into the back as a thank you for your custom. Okay, so Morelands is done. It now, we leave it there because it's now a possible location for us to move our cult to. This one here, this book, we'll just put it over here on the edge because it's, as she said, it's nonsense, but she did give us some second level edge lore, so that's nice. So we'll put that up there. So now, if we look at our lore, we still need to get we're going to get some. We know we have the ability at least to get some Grail lore. We don't have any Winter lore yet either. I don't have Moth lore. I wonder what the name of that thing was. It was no, I can't even put my finger on what the name of it was. Right, we're going to dream these two together because I don't want dread building up when I'm not paying attention. So we'll do that. And now we're going to go to the auction house. So the auction house is slightly different in that you never know how much you're going to pay for stuff. But generally I just pay whatever it is. Because I want all the books, really. I'm greedy that way. Okay, and let's see what we got here. The culprit is, it transpires, is the audience. The surviving queens are directed to execute whatever audience members do not escape. The surprisingly lucid epilogue suggests that the correspondence of river names with historical events does provide clues to secret histories behind our own. So that's going to be cult scrap. Okay. So these ones we put over here because they're not like these ones. They're not used in rituals and stuff. They're actually used to find certain locations, and then depending on the level, the higher level location you're going to find as well. Right, so you have 70 left, so we can. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to study our passion again and get a glimmering for you, combine you two. Then we have another gap in that to be able to study a book as well. But yeah, I'm kind of enjoying streaming, and as I said, it's nice to chat with people, and I've been kind of watching a bit more Twitch as well. So generally on Twitch I watch Variax, and oh, did we missed an auction there, I think. Yeah, I watch Variax and I watch Zemov as well, so kind of like watching those two, and it kind of they're similar content creator really to yourself and to the little group that we had going, where they play kind of similar games and they have kind of similar laid back styles as well, so it's kind of nice. We perch on alarming red felt chairs in a windowless auction room with vividly burnt orange walls, waiting for the auctioneer to announce what he's offering. The reek of new paint makes the brain spin. Okay, so I need to keep an eye on that and see what actually comes up this time. There we go. Okay. So this is a true and complete account of Asclepian Mysteries of Root of the House. Okay, and it's in Greek, and it actually has the chance to be Hark lore, so we certainly want to get that if we can. So we'll do that. Oh, we're going to get another affliction there, okay. The sun still moves, the wind still walks. My journals are the labyrinth clue. Okay, put you over there. Okay, that's fine. We don't need to give acceptance there. Alright, so grab those and then study those two together, which will buy us a bit of time to be able to do another book. We'll grab that. What have we got in the auction house this time? Oh, somebody has bid against us. Okay, so let's raise the stakes. I've raised my hand. The auctioneer raps out an acknowledgement. Will anyone match me? Well, really they shouldn't be matching me. They should be raising the stakes, but I'm kind of happy that they do it that way, because it means that every time that you need to increase your bid, it's only by 1 and not by 2 if we were kind of going back and forth in a bidding war. So don't mind that too much. But we've got a nice stack of books here now. That means that we're going to be able to generally fill out like a lot of the first 3 rows of lore, and then that's really going to help us to open up the mantis as well. So we've got Dorothy, an acquaintance. Dorothy is an enthusiastic sort with an eclectic reading habits. She's fascinated by my hints about the shapes beneath the world's skin. Okay, so Dorothy kind of falls almost between like Clovette, who is very happy-go-lucky, and Leo, who kind of hangs on every word. Dorothy is kind of a mix between those two, I feel. Oh, we need to keep on talking, always. So what games have you had times to play games even though you're not recording yourself, Mordex? Right, so we got our book, which is great. It's going to pop over there. I'm going to keep on seeing what we can get out of that. This is one thing I found when, like, there have been periods, even though I've been posting videos, there have been periods where maybe for a week or two where I haven't been playing, not recently, but certainly periods in Japan where maybe I'd already pre-recorded ahead because maybe I was moving house or something was happening in my life where I knew I wasn't going to have the time. But generally at those periods when I wasn't recording stuff, I wasn't actually playing games either. And I very rarely now will play a game that I'm not recording, because when I'm playing it and enjoying it, I kind of think, well, why don't I record it? Because if I'm enjoying it, maybe there's 1 or 2 people out there who will actually watch it. Yeah, I've never really stopped gaming in my leisure time, though less when Micromagic was younger. Yeah, I can see why that would be. Some evenings with some friends and occasionally with Braskus or Ryan. Oh, cool, that's good. I was really sad to see as well that that Braskus and Ryan stopped making videos, because I know that both of them came back a couple of times for a little while and then stopped again. I kind of always kind of have that hope that I'm gonna go to YouTube one night and there'll be a video from either one or both of them on there as well, because like not just that they're friends, but because they produce good content as well. But it's kind of nice to see. It's just nice. It's nice in terms of just consuming what people have produced, but it's also nice in that kind of, you know, when someone enjoys that, when they can actually make time to do it, that things are probably going pretty well for them, that they kind of got their ducks in order in the rest of their life. Yeah, and it's kind of, it would be, oh, that's in Greek, right? So we're gonna have to translate that. So we'll pop you down there for now. How about you? Oh, you're the Red Cup one, right? Yeah. In Arabella's introduction, she explains that the book was to be illustrated, but that the Suppression Bureau would not permit it. She hints that the illustrations still exist somewhere. The book is dedicated to Sir Percival of the Red Cup. This is going to give us our first Grail lore for this run. Ryan does some joint projects as well periodically. Yeah, I've seen him. He did a bit like with collabs with other channels and stuff like that, but he did one where he did a series, I think, where it was like an airship. I can't remember the name of the game, but it was like an airship kind of 2D type thing where you're a trader, and that was probably one of his best series that he did. I think it was kind of more complete than some of the other stuff that he's done. So it's kind of sad then to see that not long after he stopped producing regularly or posting regularly. And then his update videos are always fun as well to watch. He'd always do some crazy stuff in it. A crowd of pinched faces, glinting eyes. What will I bid? Well, what have we got? A Greek grammar. Well, we won't, because we've already got that. So we let that one. That's one of the few books that we won't buy. We could buy it, but we won't need it, because as soon as we study that one, we've got we then got Greek available. We can't learn it twice, so it would just be a waste to get it. And sometimes you can get lucky, where you can buy one of those and then put it back up on the auction house and actually get more than you paid for it. But it's very rare that happens, and it certainly wouldn't be a viable way to generate funds on a regular basis. I'm gonna pop that there. Right, so we got some restless coming there. We've also got a dread there, but that dread is going to degrade itself anyway, so that's fine. Now let's move our health stuff down here. Pop you there for now, and the funds can sit over here. Yeah, and we should be able to fit the rest of our lore in there then. So, the sick room grows close and stale. Time to get up. Certainly is. Do that. And the auction is over. That's fine. We didn't want that book anyway. So, good luck to whoever else is trying to learn Greek out there. Right, so we have now 7 potential followers. So they're acquaintances, but they can be turned pretty quickly into believers as soon as we start a cult up. And that's basically 1/3 of the potential followers we can get. Got some restless there. Okay. So we're kind of moving on now to somewhat of a new phase for us. So what we've got here, Sanskrit. I think that's what you are, right? Yeah, so we're going to leave that as well. Kind of disappointing when you see books that you already have in the auction house, because you know it's the same with Morelands. There's only so many times you can go back. I've got to take off in a few minutes, but it's really good to see you. Yeah, it was great. Cheers for stopping by. I really appreciate it. And hopefully, hopefully we can get together and do something, hang out for a bit or something in the future. But really appreciate your time, and good luck with the kids, and good luck with getting back into producing content as well. Right, so we have our grail there as well. Yeah, it's kind of sad when you go to the auction house and you see a book that you've already got, because you know there's only so many times around that you're gonna have that. We're gonna have to study passion again, so it means one less chance to get a book that you don't have, or maybe get some more lore. Okay, potential new person here. Who's it going to be this time? So it is Valcine, an acquaintance. Valcine has operated her establishment for almost 20 years. She's never employed an assistant. Her hands are terribly strong. Right, so she's going to be interesting because she is a very strong personality. So in our little group there, then she's definitely going to be one of the louder voices. Oh, talking about voices, let's talk a bit more. And what we have available here. Okay, so this gives us a, what's the name of the right? Can't remember the name of the right, but it'll give us the tape, and then we spend another fund once we've gotten the tape to rent it or buy a projector. Then it gives us a is Right of the Winter something or other, something like that. Okay, but let's keep on going with the work. So now, yeah, we've got 8 of 21 potential cult members. We're beginning slowly to up the amount of lore that we have. So yeah, we're kind of moving into a newish phase where getting as much lore as we can is going to be one of the big things for us. So we got outbid on that, or match, so let's up our bid. Generally it takes 2 or 3 to get this one, because it is kind of a rare thing to get. So we've got some glimmering there, and then those two can be studied together. Once they're done, we then have a bit of breeding room, right? Yeah, you're going to be down to 80. So actually we won't have some breeding room. We're going to have to do a full round. So it's, yeah, going to make sure we do a full round there. And then look at this. Someone really wants to perform that right apparently. And now that's got the dread. Okay. But seeing as we don't have anything else to be dreaming about at the minute, let's do this. In times of special crisis, I might visit a discreet pharmacist to purchase a tincture of opium and make my dreams sweet, but only in times of special crisis. So we'll do that. Okay, and we've got you there as well. Okay, and we got that in the end too. Good. Right, so we'll pop that over there, and we'll just keep on going with that. Yeah, because we've got to do the rounds with that anyway, so we're not going to be reducing the number of books for a while. Okay, so we've got a collection of poetry. Think. Okay, I'm gonna buy that, And once you buy that, then we can just, all of this stuff we can just ignore. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Get that, and that means then that we have 4 of these lessons learned that are kind of stored in book form, and that will be enough with lore to be able to increase or to the soft kind of limit of 5 passion that you have with the aspirant. So we just got you, but we're gonna leave you because we're gonna let you degrade all of those 3 degrade. We'll get that, and that means now that we can just tear through these books. So let's do that. Let's get all of these books read. The parallels in mystic dreams experienced by carpenters, masons, and other artisans, and what they purport to reveal about the architecture of the world. Sometimes mordant, sometimes funny. No one has ever explained why Galmier devotes herself to this quixotic exploration of artisans' dreams. Quixotic. I don't know why it is, but yesterday and today I've just been completely tongue-tied on pronouncing words. Same yesterday when I was chatting with a friend of mine before we did our D&D session together. Just certain words that generally I have no problem pronouncing just became so difficult. Oh, Rhaenyra. Rhaenyra is an interesting one. Rhaenyra has been found not guilty 3 times in 3 separate jurisdictions. She will likely never be found guilty of anything. Yeah. So there's another one to add to the group. So that's now 9 of 21, so it's pretty decent. We're going to now spread some word about some edge lore. Let's do that. And I'm actually thinking, so I'm thinking about like previous cults we've done. So I've done Forge and got a Forge victory. I've done Lantern and got an Enlightenment victory. What else then? I tried Grail for a little while. So I'm leaning more towards ones that I haven't done before. So we got you, so that's cool. So that means that, yeah, all of those can be left to degrade. It also means now that we can explore a health, which we will do now. But yeah, when it comes to what type of cult we're gonna have this time, so I'm leaning more towards something that I haven't done before. So Heart or Moth or Winter or Edge are kind of the ones that, yeah, they're kind of the ones that I'm thinking of. There's also Knock, but I'm doing Knock in my priest playthrough. So if you want to see some more Cultist Simulator stuff, like I've got a priest playthrough going on my YouTube channel as well. Streets are strange and the hour is called Menescates. We'll see how strange they are by having a look. We got another Restlessness. I wish that would just default up there because that's where we always put it. But anything that has a timer like that, that has just been generated, won't, like, they can't stack. So you can't just designate an area for them to go. Each one is kind of considered unique. Let's keep going with the work. What I'm going to do is actually going to dream this as well and see where that gets us. So we're going to put in passion. I'm going to put you in. And just see what it gets us. I know this dream, a road crest, hilltop, and the air is silver bright. Time and again, here we hear of the wood, which rises from the world's foundation. All trees reach for light. What does the wood reach for? Is there a difference between light and light? I think the key to dreams of the wood might be one of these, the one that isn't exactly real. Okay, so another lantern over there. That's kind of nice. And we got some erudition. And the good thing about that is this is going to be erudition, right? So we we can check there. Yeah, so to upgrade or subvert this fragment you need erudition. So that's what we'll do. We'll study those two together, and that erudition that we just got won't go to waste, then we're going to be able to use it on that. Right, and let's see what we've got here. So we've got more contentment. So put you over there. And I'm going to slot you back in there and keep going there. Okay. So yeah, we're going to just slowly now start building up our lore. We're hoping to get at least a couple of our lores up to the point where we've got maybe like a third or fourth level in them, so that, and at that stage then they kind of become viable choices to start a cult with as well. Because that's one thing that I kind of discovered when I started out first, was that I kind of rushed at making my cult, and not realizing that can really can cause you problems, because once we've already exhausted Moorlands, right? So all these books here is as much as we're going to get out of there. The auction house we've got a bit more on, but we generally don't get as much from there as we would from Moorlands. So we're not going to get too much more than what we have here, and we've already gotten a few out of the auction house anyway. But that's kind of your store of lore that you're going to have for the starting part of the game. And because of that, that's also the lore that when you start your cult is going to allow you to promote the members of your cult and make them stronger and make them more able to actually perform well when you send them on expeditions. So if at the start of the game you pick a lore that you don't have that much of to base your cult around, and you don't have access to books to be able to increase that, you can then find it very difficult to do expeditions, which are like the kind of next stage of getting out there and going out into the world and finding more lore. If you don't have the lore to promote the people, then you don't have the people to properly go out and do the expeditions and find more lore to then allow you to upgrade people more. So you're going to kind of get stuck in a loop there, where in order to get better lore, you need higher level people to be able to do higher level expeditions, but you don't have enough lore to make those people higher level. So you kind of got to be a little bit circumspect when you're choosing your cult, and that's kind of found at the start. Let's see, we've got Cotan the Gross. As the beach crow, I will linger and snatch something not stolen but precious. I rejoice, a becoming leader trying to his ascent, and wish that the watchman be merciful on you. Nice, I like that. So obviously, Cotan, you're very much into this game then. I like your prose. I don't know whether it's from the game or you made it up yourself, but either way it's pretty good. Dreams of curios behind the glass. In the display cases of the Impossible Museum, I always see an apple white, a snow and hard as marble, a golden beetle in the stern box, a coy geometry waiting my touch, a black envelope bursting with spring, a brass upper box for instruments of record and measure, a storm in a tin. I always wait before I see the aisle's end. Okay. Right, so we've got that. We've got glimmerings at the moment are not something that we need to worry about, even though we were worrying about them for a while, because now we've got these collections of poetries. There's enough stored there to be able to upgrade our passion without needing anything else. I'm gonna grab you and get out there again. And then here, who we got? We got a hanger-on. Okay. So hanger-on again can be useful at certain stages, especially if something that you need to do involves going through the spider door, and you need to have kind of a regular kind of supply of prisoners. Hangers-on are great for that, where you can, if you're not using it for anything else, they can certainly be prisoners. They're obviously not going to be too happy about about being used that way, but hey, what can you do? Right, we need to slot that. We almost missed it. Slot that there. We will then get talking about that again, trying to attract someone new. Okay, and run things on. Yeah, so we're gonna have a pretty decent start here. We now have the ability to get ourselves to 5 passion. Health is going to take a while to get that up to the max, but health max is not really a priority for us anyway. Getting our reason up to the max at the moment isn't a priority either, but it will be later on when we get to kind of higher levels of lore that we want to combine, and we need to provide the the skill that replaces the library. Yeah, we're gonna want to max this out to be able to do that. Let's pop the contentment up there. So we've got Dread and Fascination that are going to cancel out. Let's have a quick read of this as well. Paintings whisper, windows wink. I know these things are not true, but how can I be certain? Yeah, the prose in this game is, I've said it plenty of times before, it's just great. It's very well written, and I'm always very grateful that it was recommended to me on the back of me playing Sunless Sea for so long as well. And yeah, I've been trying to find as many games like this, and so it's not necessarily the mechanics of the game, it's more just the lore and how well written things are in the game as well, because it's kind of difficult to find those, and I've been relying on recommendations a lot to try and do that. But I'm certainly happy that this one was recommended to me, and also at the moment on my channel as well, I'm playing through the Shrouded Isle, which is certainly nowhere near as complex as this, but I do like some of the lore and the prose in that as well. Let's see. One must give to receive, either upon yourself or on others. Change won't come easily, and shedding your former self will lead to a better self. True. I think that might be, I don't know, is that a hint to, I know there is a rite you can do that we might do later on, depending on what ending we're going for the game. Certainly on our priest run we're going to do it, but there's a rite that will let you swap. So we got like health, passion, and reason, but you can sacrifice one to get something else. So if we wanted to change, let's say turn some of our passion into health, we can do that, and that's something that we're gonna need to do on our priest run, because that one we're gonna go for it's a priest only victory, I believe, or ending at least, That involves getting a number of different afflictions and injuries and then using them in rites. And to do that, we need, well, it's recommended at least that we have somewhere around 9 health, and you can't do that without using a rite to transfer things from one to the other. Yeah, I'm liking, Kodan, I'm liking the cut of your jib. I like your prose there. Very nice. I've increased my mastery of the glorious lore, which we call by its aspect lantern. Okay, so we got some lantern there. We'll move that up so that it's in the right slot. We're now going to study something else. What are we going to do? So that's probably going to be secret histories. You are not sure of, but probably secret histories as well. This one is probably going to be moth lore. So maybe we do that and get some moth. Yeah, let's do that. So what is it? Kittling Ripe and the Moldy Warp's Grave and Other Stories. The protagonist, a speechless cat, that thing called Kittling Ripe, performs a series of elaborate rites to rescue members of her extended family, culminating in the resurrection of her other grandmother, Moldy Warp. That kind of has kind of vibes of Pet Sematary to me, which is a fantastic book, by the way, if you've never read it. I remember reading it. I read it kind of as a teen, and then I read it again then maybe in my late 20s. I was probably kind of getting to the point where I should read it again too, but I donated I had a clear out maybe 6 months ago, and so I used to have maybe somewhere like certainly in the hundreds of books, but probably close to 1,000, but gave away or donated the majority of my collection, to the extent now where I've got maybe 200 to 300 books left. But Pet Sematary was, because I'd read it twice, was certainly one that that I gave up, that kind of had to go on that pile to give up. I'm the kind of person where like I love reading and I love books, but most of my reading now I do on Kindle rather than physical book. But still, I just kind of like, first of all, I like having a physical book anyway, and if I could, I would probably read more physical books than I do. I just like that, the tactile nature of them, and then just the smell of a book as well, and just the whole thing of turning a page is very nice too. But right now, a lot of my reading I do when I'm going somewhere, so it makes more sense to bring a Kindle with me and read off that. Which book reminds you on Kittling Ripe? Couldn't catch up with it. Oh, it's Pet Sematary. Pet Sematary by Stephen King. So we got Porter there, who's an acquaintance. So let's read about Porter. Oh, sorry. Porter was a barber until the court case. Oh, okay. Wonder what happened in the court case, eh? So Porter is a nice, merry addition to us. Yeah, it's just the whole thing with the cat coming back from the dead. Kind of reminds me of Pet Sematary. My brother-in-law is a huge Stephen King fan, and he's got all of his books in hardback, and he's got a number of them as well in. I know he's got them all on his e-reader, but he's got a number of them in paperback as well, just so that he can read them without damaging the hardcover ones. But recently, in terms of what I've been reading, it's been kind of a mix of stuff. Where so on my channel I play games like this. On my YouTube channel I play games like this. So there's kind of a story element to a lot of my stuff, where it's like things like Cultist Simulator. I played the Innsmouth case not too long ago. As I said, I'm playing the Shrouded Isle. So there's a lot of games kind of in that style. Played Sunless Sea for like 4 years, maybe a little bit more. And then on the other side of things, I play also turn-based tactics. So I do play a lot of Mordheim, City of the Damned, and Necromunda, which are both in the Warhammer universe. One is like Warhammer Fantasy, and the other is Warhammer 40k setting. So I've been reading a lot of books to do with those, to kind of learn a bit more of the lore, because before I played the games I didn't really know anything about either of them. So that's been kind of fun. And also I've been reading the Metro books as well. I find that a really nice setting as well. It's kind of post-apocalyptic, but not in a Fallout sense. Well, it's kind of in a Fallout sense because it is after the fallout of a nuclear war, but not in the Fallout sense as in the Fallout world itself. So it's not like US centric, which is kind of nice. Right, so what have we got here? Lie awake and listen. The wind speaks in the branches. The house cries out in the sleep. These are the roads that chaos ride. Okay, so we pop you over there. So now I'm thinking of what cult we're going to make this time around. Certainly Moth now is up there, because if we can get a bit more Moth lore, and probably have an opportunity to do that right now with this as well. Travelling at night. The wood lies outside the walls of the mantis. As any student of histories knows, the mantis has no walls. Okay, so a bit of a contradiction in terms there. But yeah, maybe Moth is going to be what we go with this time. Right, so we've got some fascination there. We're going to keep on exploring. Pop the fascination up there. It's not really going to be a threat to us. Don't despair, prowls elsewhere. So we'll grab that and pop you up there. So we're going to probably go for another 30 minutes or so. So probably a good time now to think about how we've progressed and where we're going to go from here as well. So we don't have a set agenda in terms of this particular run. We want to, if we can, go for an ending that we haven't done before, which would be nice. But if we can't do that, we might go for an ending that we know how to do already, and then segue from that, from the Aspirant, into maybe a Dancer run, and maybe one of the DLCs that we haven't done before. But yeah, in terms of kind of the short term, what we're looking for is to next time it looks like that's when we're going to get our cult up and running. We did get that there, but the problem we have is they're not the same level, so we're not going to be using that erudition, because we're probably not going to subvert something else at this early stage. But maybe we can get another one. So you're in Latin, right? Yeah. How about you? You're not, so we can study you and see what we get out of you. But yeah, next time probably going to be looking at starting a cult. Still don't know which cult it's going to be, but then that's going to inform us in terms of what ending we're going to go for as well. But to the end of this kind of session here, we're looking to find more people, get more lore, and just put ourselves in that kind of nice position where we're going to be able to kick on next time. Let's see what we've got here. Physical books are superior to have. Adding them to the collection and being able to remind yourself on what you experience with them is just great. It certainly is, yeah. There's just something about while you're reading it, holding it in your hand, but also having it there on your shelf, and whether you've read it or not. Like if you haven't read it, it's there as kind of a reminder, and now and again you look at it and say, oh well, I must get around to reading that book. Whereas when you've got something in digital form, you don't really have that, because your Kindle can be switched off, or your e-reader can be switched off, and you can forget about it, and not really have that impetus to read. And again, it's just that kind of tactile thing as well of just holding the book and turning the pages. And even though when you turn the pages, sometimes you're going to dog-ear them by accident or whatever, and then just as well, something about like my favorite books, especially from when I was younger, where you get that thing in the spine where you read them so much that you have like little creases on the spine and things like that, are just something kind of magical about them. It's hard to explain, but there's something magical about a physical book that I don't think an e-reader can really match up to, even though it is the same book. But obviously e-readers have their own advantages in terms of saving space and that kind of thing as well. But then I kind of think about it in terms of always wondering, digital forms are just too expandable and forgettable. Exactly, yeah. And then as well, kind of the digital form of a book, someone can kind of edit it after you've received it, if you know what I mean, and kind of change, maybe update it or change it, but then it's not the original anymore, and there's no real sense of that, like having a physical copy for so many years is just feels so much better than having a digital copy, even if you have it for the same length of time. It's not as, I suppose it's not as permanent, but also on the digital side of things, the whole idea of like if I have a book and I own the book, whereas with these digital downloads and stuff, there's the whole thing of who really owns the book. Like I paid for it, but the service that, my Kindle or whatever it is, whatever service that you actually use, if that stops working, then like there's that kind of thing in your head of, well, what happens then with the books that I have? They'll probably still work on this, on the physical like tablet itself, but then what happens when the tablet stops working, and then there's no way, like maybe tablet gets broken or whatever, and the digital service is gone, all those books are just gone. Then I'm sure there's ways to copy them off and put them on something else and whatever, but there's still that kind of fear of just one day losing all this stuff. It's kind of it's almost like being afraid of your house burning down and losing your book collection that way. But at least that way, like there's not kind of an inevitability of that happening. Let's see what I've got here. Visions pass me with purveying grace. A window over a wood, a garden of ice, a shivering sun, one of glass. I will return home with reluctance. So Kotan, tell me, what kind of books do you like to read? would you be into kind of Lovecraftian stuff, or what? Yeah, exactly. Like, what kind of books would it be? The classics, or just kind of probably maybe some books I've never heard of, but maybe I'd be interested in checking out myself. Because it's always been kind of an interest of mine, the whole idea of discoverability, where there could be a game or a book or an author or TV show or a movie or wherever it is that is like, this is the perfect thing for you, but you don't know it exists until somebody else recommends it. And that's where I find most of the stuff, apart from stuff that I found myself when I was a kid, but most stuff that I really enjoy have been recommended to me by other people, not by an algorithm or like a website that's trying to sell me more stuff. It's actually been someone who said, I've really enjoyed this book, I kind of get where you're coming from, I think you would really enjoy it yourself. For me, let's see, Lovecraft King, Far Eastern Classics right now. Oh, cool. Yeah. Yeah, so I like a lot of that stuff myself as well. Like Lovecraftian stuff in games as well. I kind of like it. When I played through the Innsmouth case, one of the guys who watches a lot of my videos on YouTube is really into Lovecraft and stuff, so he was explaining some of the references and that on there, and then just playing through that game made me want to read more Lovecraft stuff myself as well. And I kind of do that. I get into a phase where whether it's like someone like Asimov or whether it's like Tolkien, I will read as much as I can from that person, not just, oh, this is their best book or whatever. No, I'll go in and get as many books as I can by that person and just read through them until but then someone will recommend something else, so I'll read all of those and then I'll go onto something else, and kind of very rarely come back to read the same thing, like the same author again. Like certain books I will read 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but not necessarily the whole breadth of work. But yeah, I like that where you discover a new author, and then there's just this whole like field of like books that they have that they've written already that are just sitting there waiting for you to read them. I think it's really cool. So this is going to give us some Forge, though we probably don't want to do that. We're going to do this one because it's going to give us some edgelore, and it will give us a genuine contender to compete with our Moth Lord down there as well. Study the Victory of Crowns by Aaron. The assassins are, according to Aaron, the agents of a power called the Colonel, a soldier of the Secret Masters. The accountings go all the way back to Roman times. Interesting. Yeah, and I was kind of lucky as well at school, where one of the subjects that I did was classical studies. So as part of that, we got to, like, we had to, but I kind of feel like we got to, is, at least for me, is a more appropriate thing. We got to read the Odyssey. We had read the Iliad. Yeah, we read the Iliad, the Odyssey, and the Aeneid through that. So that was great. And then just having like our teacher as well was fairly knowledgeable. So it was like it was great to be able to read through it and then have him explain a few things here and there. But unlike, say, also had to do Shakespeare in school, and unlike doing Shakespeare where it felt kind of a task and onerous to go through the explanations of different different parts of plays and stuff, for the classical study stuff, it felt like it was actually adding to the enjoyment, the experience of reading the books. So that was kind of pretty cool. Right, so got another one there, and keep on going with that. Got tons of glimmerings that really aren't going to get used. There's not the best book. Just as you read it, you change, and therefore other books come in interest, a personal journal, if you could say so. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So just by reading a certain book, it changes you and changes your taste a little bit, and then you're ready then to move on to a different book. But like it's a great thing. Like, and I've been lucky, I guess, that I've been able to read so many books as well through my life, and through that as well, it's kind of helped me too, because I love to write myself. And for years I hadn't written anything. When I was younger, I used to write all the time, mainly short stories, but in the last kind of 6 months or so, I've been getting back into writing again. So I've finished a number of short stories, they're going to kind of collate together into a book, and then I'm also writing another book as well that's going to be more of a it's going to be novel kind of length, and it's going to be part of a series as well. But it's nice as well to be able to not necessarily get inspired by reading books, but just it inflames your passion for the written word. And yeah, it's kind of, and I like as well, that's why I like games like this, because it kind of feeds into that as well, that kind of the idea or the desire just to read something that's well written. And talking about reading something that's well written, let's see what we have here. Aaron's scholarship is dubious, but she writes pitifully. Incidents of sudden and violent death are interspersed with aphorisms. I told you today my tongue is tied for whatever reason. Hours don't dream, long try they not to. Okay. So yeah, with that then we'd probably have to get another kind of edge lore, or use this to subvert one to get up there and get it up to kind of this level. But it's potential at least to have a rival there for what lore we're going to use in our cult. Okay, next we are going to, I think we'll read through you. Yeah. There is an extensive discussion of the similarities between Elopolis' own dreams and those of the Emperor Elagabus, who Elopolis regards as a dupe or avatar of the sun and rags. The white is west of the world, Elopolis remarks, and winter does not wait forever. So we're going to get our first winter lore out of that. Okay, so let's see what you got here. Old classics are great. So much great storytelling and time travel on how this would be in interest on that time. Also, what is timeless to be referred to good story. Indeed, yeah, like good stories don't really have a sell-by date, which is great. Like I'm reading through the Eastern classics, Tao Te King and Five Rings, good reads and philosophical thinking to shape a bit on problems even to this day. That's true as well. Like a lot of, when you read a lot of kind of older books, like a lot of the stuff that made sense back then still makes sense now, and like really all that's changed is, well, one is technology, and two is somewhat social attitudes. But at the same time, the more you read from the past, the more you realize that, like, if you kind of just looked at now in isolation, you would think that social attitudes kind of just always kind of progress. Whereas when you read more from the past, you realize that it's more that there's a cycle where certain things are acceptable, and then something happens in people's thinking in certain cultures, and then what was acceptable before then becomes unacceptable, and then the wheel turns again, and then it becomes acceptable again at some later stage. And you realize that that people from the past as well, they weren't stupid. Like someone who was born 300 years ago, who, let's say, if you pluck them as a 5-year-old, whatever, out of like the Middle Ages, and plunk them into our modern society, by the time they're like 7 or 8, they're at the same level as all the other kids, because they're going to be able to adapt pretty quickly, because they're young enough, and like how smart people are doesn't really vary. Like when you look at the geniuses that have existed throughout history, you realize that there isn't that much difference in terms of, the only real difference is access to education. That would make a difference. So if you pluck someone from that time period to now and gave them access to the same education, they're going to be as smart as someone would be if they'd been born in this time as well. Right, no, we've seen that one before, we don't need to read that. I'm going to pop it up there. Okay, so we're going to dream some lantern now. Oh, we need passion first, right? Let's pop our passion in there, and then give it some lovely lantern. Let's see what we get out of that. I know for the mantis, it's either that level lantern or one more. And it may be that as well that moth will do it first too. So we may get into the mantis by just squeak into the mantis by the end of the stream. Sylvia lost her eye in the woods when she was 9 years old. Every year at Candlemas she returns to the place she buried it. Okay, interesting. I remember as well when I read War and Peace, and was kind of blown away by what a good book it is, but also the fact that, like, being from Ireland, we don't really get that much access to Russian literature, and just being able to read that and seeing like how alike it is to literature from Western Europe as well. But obviously there's differences in there too, but that kind of made it more appealing as well. So we're going to talk about you, because we want to keep that for now and run on. Reminds me in Lovecraft and True Detective Wipe, time is a flat circle. People from the past struggled with the same problems. At the core, the circumstances change, problems stay the same. Exactly, yeah. That is exactly how it works, really. And remember as well before, like that, somebody saying that there are only so many stories that exist in the world. Like only a handful of stories. When you think about them, a lot of stories are a variation on a core story, even though like the people and the circumstances and whatever have changed. Just kind of the core thought of the story can be the same, but it doesn't mean that just because you've read then like a handful of stories that you've read all stories and you don't need to read anymore. Just kind of means that the thoughts and the motivations in the stories are kind of universal and appeal to everyone and across time and across different cultures and stuff like that as well. And that's something that I like, that people who have completely different upbringings and maybe like have completely different political views on things, can still read the same book and enjoy it and converse about it together, and just enjoy the just talking to someone that gets it the same as them, and that's, I think, is something very powerful. Let's see here. On the white, on closer investigation, the work seemed to be a theory of aesthetics, or perhaps a set of warnings about the dangers of painting. But yeah, one thing I want to do is I want to read more Lovecraftian stuff. But at the moment, I'm finishing reading through the Metro series. I'm having a great time with that as well. I'm reading through the kind of, I suppose in the Metro universe, I found that there's like the official books, and then like there's the other books that are written by other authors. And I'm kind of deciding now whether I want to go and read the other ones, but I think that the world it's set in is appealing enough to me that I probably will do that. Yeah, it's kind of when you find a setting that is appealing, or at least for me, I want to read as much as I can then that's based in that particular setting. Same where when I read the Wheel of Time books. There we go, we got our Way of the Woods finally. The Bleached Way. Colour exists only when there is light, and the wood is a place where light does not walk. In the dream, I close my eyes and walk, stumbling, brushing my feet and or bruising my feet and knees. At last, the undergrowth before me grows too thick to pass, and when I open my eyes, I am adrift among the black trees. Shadows flutter. My feet will know the way back to this place. Right, so we got our Way of the Woods, so that is our first entry into the Mantis. So we will pop, where are we going to put these for now? I'm going to put them up here because we're probably going to do a lot of dreaming in the Mantis, so I want to keep it nice and close at hand. Let's see, it's like pizza, you know how to make it, still with other topics or toppings. It's getting something new to taste. Likewise, stories can convey different things. Ideas are mostly the author and what was he driven by. That's very true, yeah, because like a story isn't just about the reader, it's about the writer as well. And every reader will have their own perspective on things, but every writer will the same. And just as when we read books, we get changed by them. When you write a book as well, you get changed by it too, and then the next book is informed by that change too. And it's, you can see with some authors certainly over progression in a series of books how the writer has changed in some ways, and how that reflects in the writing as well. The Way of the Wood. If I have enough passion, I can walk the dream road to the wood. If I have the right knowledge, I might be able to find the way beyond it. Okay, so pop that in there. So the way beyond it is basically it's what, 6th level, right? Lore of a certain, I think Lantern is one of them that we can use to get beyond it. But for now, we're kind of happy enough with the Way of the Wood. We put you down there. So the only main lore we don't have is knock, I believe. This one here would be knock, so we'll probably study that just to get some knock on the table. We grab you. You can sit up there because we're going to need you for that in a second. And we'll put that back in there. Yeah, I like that kind of, as you said there, Kotan, about the kind of pizza analogy. It's very fitting. Study on the white. Husher writes distractedly of his hatred of colours and his yearning for death. He hints at a great work he has envisaged, or begun, where the palest of paintings will enthrall the world. He returns again and again to certain compelling phrases, which he claims are the secret of the words of winter. Okay, so we've got a sextant secret. So now you have two of those. What we'll do is, so let's find out whether it's passion. No, it's erudition. Okay, so it means reason. So let's pop our reason in there and get studying that, and we combine those two straight away to get up one level. I recommend one of the earlier classic short stories, going into either Dexter Ward, Mountains of Madness, Color Out of Space, into the Dream Cycle by Lovecraft. Okay, that's pretty handy. I'm definitely going to have to note that down at some point. Yeah, because sometimes with an author like Lovecraft, or with like a very like with a setting, not necessarily a series, because series are kind of easy where you just go, this is the first book in the series, there's 10 books, read them 1 to 10, easy, right? But when you have certain authors like Lovecraft or Asimov or Stephen King or whoever it happens to be, who don't necessarily write series, who, you know, some of the books can be put into maybe collections, but finding the right place to start can be important. So even like taking someone like Tolkien, if you gave someone as an introduction to Tolkien something like the Silmarillion, you've lost that person. They're going to find it too dense, they're going to find it too tough to get through, and like a lot of the other books as well that he wrote, set in the same world as The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, will probably be the same as well, where you're going to lose the person. So I'm really appreciative of that. I'm definitely going to try out some of those, and we're probably going to have a look on my Kindle to see, after when I'm done here, to see which one I can get. Right, so we don't need the buzzing. That's not concerning us at the moment, because that's something that we use if we were actively working on rights, and we're not doing that at the moment. So what we're really looking for out of this is the secret histories, or the occult scraps, and in this one we can get, I believe it's like the first and second level, and we're going to go for the well first. Okay, so we've got an appetite, an awareness of appetite, which is whale. Okay, so let's have a look here what we've got. The well in the wood is never dry, but it is never clear. One night it might heave with crawling roots. On another it will pulse with bright moss. On nights of the full moon, its waters are choked with the fat dappled bodies of moths. Last night I saw it brimming with dark and viscous blood. Gelatinous shreds drifted on its surface. Clots of grail matter. Okay. So yeah, what we're going to do with this one then, oops, I'm going to pop you back in there. So we're gonna just keep continually visiting the mantis, other than when we kind of have emergencies where we either need to deal with an affliction, or we need to get a contentment to counteract some high level despair. Oh, I put those in the wrong way around. No, I didn't. Wait, what did I do? Oh no, it's okay. I thought I needed to click start, and I already did. Confusing myself. Yeah, we're going to be visiting there a lot to build that up as much as we can, because I like to have a lot of places where we can go at the start once the cult gets going, and we're going to be going on expeditions. It's nice not to have to kind of go on expedition, then stop, find another place for an expedition, go on that, and kind of do stop start. I like to kind of queue them up and get through them, and sometimes I will put them on pause because we've got maybe tentative evidence that we need to get rid of, but it's nice to have the option there at least to just go again straight away after having done a successful expedition. Right, so we got Enid here. Enid, an acquaintance. Enid speaks softly, and sometimes her gaze doesn't focus on anything visible. It may be that you dream the same dreams. Okay, so we grab that. So Enid, so we got Enid there. Enid, if we're kind of imagining these guys again in our own heads of who would get on with who, I think Enid would actually get on with Kat, because they both kind of have that mystical side of things where like Kat does her readings and stuff like that, and Enid seems to be seeing something that other people can't see, whereas like I would say that someone like Saliva would probably get along with maybe Rhaenyra, because they both got that kind of more animalistic side of just basic urges and fulfilling them just because. So it's kind of, I always kind of like to in my own head, and then when I'm playing like this as well, just voice it as well. Kind of make little links between people and little rivalries and stuff. It's kind of nice. Enid, best wife. Maybe, yeah. By interest, how deep have you delved into the occult so far? And if so, is there a favourite aspect or hour in cultism for you? So in terms of the occult side of things, well, let's deal with this game first. So I've done a forge run where I got the like the temptation. Yeah, I got a forge win on the lower side of things. I've also done the light or lantern temptation victory. I've done the career victory. I've had other ones where I've started I started Grail Cult as one of my first cults, but didn't finish it. Then after a few different endings, I tried the Exile. The Exile is one I did not like at all. I didn't feel like it had the same ambiance or the same feeling as the main game. So I was kind of glad when that run ended. I'm currently playing the Priest. I'm really liking the Priest, actually. I like the kind of mechanics of that, and I've got a little my own little story going with the characters and that as well. I'm kind of enjoying that. So in terms of the lore so far here, I like the lantern stuff, but I want to explore more like into the others. I haven't really explored Edge. I'm doing Knock in my other run, so I'm not going to do that here. I haven't explored Edge. I haven't explored Winter, Moth. I've done a little bit on Grail and a little bit on Heart, but I want to do more of those as well. So it's kind of those 5 that I'm kind of interested in. But yeah, in terms of like outside of this game, then in terms of occult kind of stuff, I played through the Intimate Case, as I said. Really enjoyed that. That was kind of a, like, I've always been aware of Lovecraft and Lovecraftian things, but that was kind of, for me at least, a deeper dive into the lore, especially because I had someone who was watching, who was telling me kind of where the lore I was discovering was from and how it all interconnected. I kind of liked that. Kind of piqued my interest. I played Sunless Sea as well, which not really on the occult side of things, but certainly not all of it is on the occult side of things, but it's still got the same kind of feeling of it, and the lore there is just fantastic as well. I've been playing through the Shrouded Isle, which there it's kind of a short game, and with that, I like the writing and all, but I wouldn't say it's a criticism, just maybe a disappointment that the game is so short. But because it's so short, it means that you can replay it a lot. So I enjoyed the replayability of it, in terms of being able to just quickly start a new run and do stuff like that. But I felt that the lore in it could have been a bit deeper. That's one thing that I like about this game, is that I like the how much lore they've put in it. I would love to read like the books. Obviously, in the game we read the books, or study the books, and then we get the lore out of it. But you only get a synopsis of the book itself. And if I could, I would read every book that's in this game, cover to cover. If someone actually wrote them up, it would be fantastic. Let's see. Exile is completely different from the base game, and even as a veteran, hard as fuck. The other legacies are refreshingly good to play. Just Apostate are, I would say, you could try out Soma at some point. Soma, okay. Let me actually get a pen and write that down now. Normally I keep my notebook nice and handy. There's a little bit further away today, but there we go. So yeah, I'm gonna write down Soma. Yeah, Soma is one I've heard of, but it's kind of when I play games, I like to do them blind, even if that means that my run is not going to be all that optimal. But I never play games to be like the best at them or to be the most optimal at them anyway. I play them because I want to experience the lore and just kind of not be spoiled on things as well. So yeah, Soma is one I'm definitely going to have a look into. If you want to head into Lovecraft and got some Asimov done, you could try out Soma at some point. Do some blind, but it's a journey. Oh, okay, so as in, is Soma replayable? Is it something where you play through it once and then most people are not going to play it again, or is it one where it might be an idea to have some idea before you play, because you're going to only play it once and you're going to miss things if you don't know certain things. Let's run things on there. But yeah, Soma, I'm now interested to get that, and that would be a nice game actually, because I think at the end of some point next month, I'm going to be finished with the Shrouded Isle, and I'm gonna replace that, and I wasn't sure what I was going to replace with. So maybe Soma, I'm gonna probably play it on YouTube. I don't know whether it probably would be a good game to play on stream, but I don't want to. So at the moment I stream on Mondays at this time, like from whatever 3 hours ago till around about now. Going to be finished up pretty soon, but I don't want to stream too much because I've only started streaming last week, and I don't want to get to the point where I start doing too much streaming wise and then can't follow it through. I think that would be a bit of a disaster. So one night a week is kind of nice at the moment, and then just keep the other stuff on YouTube. It could be replayable, but the story stays the same. The story is fantastic and horrific. Oh, nice. Fantastic and horrific. They're kind of nice words. Let's get some Forge lore out of this. Tasmane hypothesizes a pre-Zoroastrian fire deity whose rites were the rites of smiths. The burning of the unburnt god. Okay, so we're going to study that. So we'll probably study that to the end, and then I'm probably going to bring the stream to a close then. Yeah, we've made pretty decent progress today, but also the important thing is that progress is going to feed into next week as well, where we're going to be able to kind of kick on. One thing I would ask actually, are we, wait, did I forget about you? You are what? Erudition. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, we have an erudition there. We'll probably study that with you after. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that and then do those two together. But yeah, in terms of the cult that we're gonna do, so my options are for this particular one. My options are winter, moth, edge, and then maybe heart or grail. So does anybody either watching now live or watching later on YouTube, do you have any preference or recommendation for one that would actually have an interesting ending or interesting lore to explore along the way? I'm going to grab you there and pop you there. So got a couple of restlessness there. One's actually just become dread, which again could be an issue at some point. For now, it's not going to be. Let's have a chat to some people about some moth lore as well. We're almost at the point where we're going to be like at 2/3 of the people found as well. So generally, with these ones, probably shouldn't do that. I'm going to grab this, but generally once we get enough of those, I would try the others just in order to have a chance to get a higher level one instead. I walked in the wood last night, and the scissors worked in the distance, and the furred things crammed my mouth and swore my ears. I felt the old urges to drop to wolf fours and nose among the roots, but remembered that I walk upright by day, and now fire and steel and words. At last I found where the velvet had concealed a secret on tree bark beneath the moss. I read it then with the tips of my fingers, and I think now that I could write it in full. As I said, just such great writing in the game. Okay, so we're gonna pop back in there, and that requires some lovely passion. Get that going, and work is done, but work is never done. Got you out. But yeah, I've really enjoyed the stream, and I'm really grateful for those who stopped by tonight, and for anybody who watches the VoD later on as well. But yeah, it's nice to kind of have someone to chat to while you're playing, and just kind of share. I was talking to Morgus about it earlier. It's one of the great things that I've found so far since I started streaming. It's just that being able to interact with people and talk to people of like mind is just great. At the burning of the unburnt god, Tasmane ultimately concludes with apparent reluctance that the deity was a goddess. He suggests that its gender may have been the cause of its suppression. The rites described are often eerie, sometimes grisly. So rite of the crucible soul, and then an ardent orison. Okay. So you can go live up there for the moment, and you can pop. Where are we going to put you? I guess up here. A nice little area here for you to go in. Right. So the last thing then we're going to do is study these two together, and wait until we get prompted for the erudition, so we don't miss that, and then we can end up, I think. Recommendations depend on the temptation. Stay at the base aspect. Personally, knock and mother of ants above all. So what is mother of ants? Like, what aspect is that? Like a temptation here. Pretty sure that's to do with forge, right? It has occurred to me that I hold the keys to power. Although it says keys, but it's got the color of forge, so I'm pretty sure it's related to forge. And knock I'm doing in my priest run, so probably don't want to do knock again. I'd have two knocks going on at the same time, because one, if that happens, I'm definitely going to get confused between one and the other, and two, I like to explore different things anyway. The mother of ants is an hour of knock aspect. So maybe I'm going to come across the mother of ants in my priest playthrough then on my YouTube series. Okay, so how about then? Let's say I'm gonna try and explore that. I'm gonna try and explore that on the other series. So what would you then, as an alternative, recommend? You can pop there. Just grab that. Put that in there. Okay, we don't want that at the minute, so we're going to go for this. Oh, we missed a good one. Or at least a good one for now. Pop you there. In the wood beyond the walls of the mantis, a jagged rock rears like the petrified remnants of a dancing giant. I trailed my hand along its flank, over the eye signs and lichen, and the crude graffiti of the lesser wood powers, and I felt the thrumming of the wheel which is past. It is past, but something continues. Okay, so we get trembling air of that. The trembling air we don't have any use for at the minute, so we'll just pop it up there. We'll then pop the wood back in and provide some passion for it. And we'll do that. Start that. Okay, what have we got here? There. Another glimmering. Lots of glimmerings. They're going to be nice though when we start combining more lore later on, because we are going to need them. So you're about to ask for the erudition. I'm safe for now. My advocacy has not enough evidence to bring a case against me, and I found no new clues. Great. Right, so I'm going to wait for you to be done, and then we're going to study something else. We've made a decent dent in the pile of books that we had as well. That's pretty good. Yeah, so Kotan, if you would have a recommendation for something other than oh, here we are, with the temptation of Power Forge of Days and the unflinching order, depending on the biggest problems you got so far with despair or the authorities, there are other cults better suited for that. Oh, okay. So now if we go for this one, right, Temptation Power, assuming that is a forge one, then it would go for a forge cult would probably be something to do for that, right? The thing is, I'm not sure if I want to go for that ending or not. I was kind of hoping that whatever cult we picked we could then kind of guide ourselves to a particular ending, because it's yeah. But maybe if it is forged, maybe we'll go. Yeah, I'm kind of being tempted now to go for another forge cult. Nonetheless, all cults are evenly valid to play. Some have just minor quirks to be used. Yeah, that's true. That's what I found myself, at least. It's just where when you haven't gone for a particular ending before, at least from my point of view, you kind of in that situation where you're not sure if there's something that's going to give you an advantage in doing that or not, and whether you should then consider that and take that on board. But yeah, maybe we go for that. Maybe we keep that ending as a possibility and go for one of the other aspects. So either moth or edge. Edge is kind of, I think edge might be interesting, because when you think of when I think of the ones that I've done so far, like we've done lantern, we've done forge, which like are, I suppose you say, scholarly or kind of goody two shoes almost, as much as like dabbling in the occult can be goody two shoes, right? Like the pizza, the toppings are different. Very true, very true. But yeah, edge just kind of has that allure to it as well, right? And maybe that's what we do. Maybe we'll go for an edge one. I think I've got at least I've got a week to think on it, to decide. But at the moment, edge is kind of, that blade is singing to me, I'd say. Suloshana Amavasya, the laconic, energetic, bright-eyed, unblinking owner of the Ecdysis Club. So she gets to go sit up there with those guys and grab those. Okay, and then we're going to go talk again. Right, well, I'm going to make our save now. And yeah, so we've made good progress this week. Been really delighted with how well things have gone so far in terms of preparation for getting a cult. Been really delighted with how the stream went. Some really nice people have stopped by and had a great chat. I'm hoping to see those who were able to chat today to pop in again, and maybe over on my YouTube channel as well. The only cult I wouldn't recommend is Saint Hydra. These are interesting at first but boring in the long run. Okay, yeah, so kind of front loaded on the lore and the fun, I guess, for Saint Hydra. Okay, so avoid Saint Hydra, but anything else, okay, I'll certainly take that into consideration for next week. But as I was saying, I had a great time tonight. I'm always appreciative when people take the time to come and watch me, whether that's on YouTube or whether it's here on Twitch, and being able to chat has been super fun, super interesting. And yeah, if you want to, let me change this so you can see my details. There we go. I need to change that. It shouldn't say starting soon. Going to be ending. But yeah, there's my YouTube, Twitter. There's Barden Plays as well. So I've got other stuff over there that people might like. But hopefully, for anyone that enjoyed this, hopefully I will see you next week, and we can chat again. But yeah, thanks very much for your time. But they got a good point dwelling in the 5 histories. One must strive for that. Okay, another interesting tidbit there. But as I say, I'm now finished for this evening. Thank you very much for your time, and hope to see you guys again. Goodbye.